We are cranking out episodes, boys. Here we fucking go. That made me emotional. That made me teary, man, because you guys have skill. And I said, also, you have your own passion. I said, never change. Just be the way you are. It's his moment, man. He's just having his moment.
It's just crazy. Like, you have Falcons OG in the O2 games. Like, no, they got absolutely destroyed.
It is the 11th of June, 2025, and we're back with another episode of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. And for me right now, it is 6:22 in the evening here in Austin, Texas. For Devilwalk, it is 1:22 on a completely different day to what I'm on. I'm actually on the 10th, you're on the 11th. But you're still awake, and there's actually still light outside because of where you live in Sweden.
Yeah, it's still light. Beautiful. We have the blackout curtains for a reason over here.
Yeah,
No, but it's good, man. It's good. It's been some actually really kind of sweaty, exciting, kind of drawn into games on the major. So
Yep.
I've been enjoying a lot of the Counter-Strike, actually.
Well, before we get into the Counter-Strike, I've got to ask you, did you get your desk set up? Do you have your monitor arms now? We did an update on that. Are we cooking?
I do.
So you're like in a command center, right?
I have a command center now. So I have screen over here, screen over here, screen over like here, obviously. So I have a triple screen. I have two above and one I play with. The arms, we did this. So we recorded the last episode for the stage 2 preview.
Yeah.
That night or that day, I'd worked on some stuff like on the balcony.
I remember you saying.
We like put up curtains. So we like drilled in the roof of the balcony so we could put them up. We put some new lamps in the kitchen and stuff like that. So it's looking a lot fresher in the apartment, looking a lot more complete. So yeah, I'm really happy. And then when we recorded that, I think I probably fell asleep at like 6, maybe.
Oh, it took you some time to get to sleep.
When you record these episodes, you have to have a certain amount of energy.
Yeah.
You can't just be like drowsy, sleeping, just barely being awake. So I was pumping coffee before the episode. Yep. And I remember, Banks, you said you'd be there in 17 minutes, and it took 1.5 hours. So I mistimed my first coffee, obviously, as one does when someone is an hour late.
Yeah.
So I took another one. So I was fucking pumped with caffeine.
I got a good excuse, though.
So when I tried to go to bed, Banks, I could not fall asleep instantly.
Well, welcome to podcast life when you're on the other side of the world, because I do apologize, but it's also not entirely my fault because I had a job to do. Yeah, there's that side of it as well. I am working. This time I wasn't doing the last game, so I was all good. Everything was fine, I didn't have anything to do. No media today because media's tomorrow for the stage 3 teams, the ones that have just got here. So everything is all good in that sense of things. I actually don't have a headache now. Both of us are probably going to have more energy. This episode should deliver and bang. And also, I'll say this for the amazing people that regularly watch our podcast and listen to our podcast. There was a lot of people complaining that we didn't get it out fast enough. Trust me, we tried. But
dude, it's hard.
It's so
but
hard,
literally,
man.
now we at least have a chance where there's one day between, right? So we can pump it out so you guys can watch it or listen to it way before. So it's not like half an hour before the actual major starts again. But recording all of that, editing, pumping it out in, I don't even know how much time we had. We probably had less, like 12 hours or something.
It was like 12 hours between when we recorded to when the first game went live or something like that, when we finished, I think. And the thing is, right, people were like, oh, we wanted to copy your pick'ems. Well, hopefully you didn't even copy our pick'ems because they went to shit as well,
you could have just randomly, because I had one of those videos where a dog just picks a bowl of food and you would have done better, I think.
Actually, fact, I don't know anyone that I've spoken to about pick'ems who has a chance of getting diamond coin. I don't think it's possible. I think it's completely off the cards. And with that being said, right, let's get into the madness of it all, mate. So we'll start with a little review of stage 2. We're not going to go over every team and every result. We're just going to hit on some of the highlights of it, hit on some of the things that happen. I'm going to take control of this ship, and I'm going to start with Tyloo because I don't know if you see right here, but I am repping the Tyloo shirt. I don't often do this, yeah, but look at this. I know. Can you see the back?
Yep. G
Yeah.
number 9.
Oh yeah, boy, my man G. First of all, it's. I've done a lot of interviews right in my career. I've done a lot of loser interviews, sad interviews. That made me emotional. That made me teary, man. Because what people have to remember is for the Chinese audience, the showing of emotion isn't like a normal thing. Yeah. And a
Yeah.
lot of them give G hate for being so emotional and showing himself and being loud and cheering him on. Not all of them do. But we love it over this side of the world, right? In the Western
Yeah.
audience, it's something we're all a big fan of. We think it's great to see someone with that much passion, excitement, love for the game, the emotion. And the way he ended that interview is like, if you love Counter-Strike, I love you. Was just perfect for a guy who can't even like fully speak the language. He's like Duolingo learning from his manager at the same time. And then the hug afterwards, he's a hugger. He hugged Moses so much,
Yeah.
when they're on the desk on the winners interview. Then we gave him ice cream. He hugged us some more, and then he fed me ice cream. And by the way, G is absolutely crazy. He fed me ice cream with that spoon, and then ate more of the ice cream himself, even though the spoon had been in my mouth. That
Yep.
was
That's a
that
true
was
baller,
something I
man.
didn't expect. And he just exudes charisma, passion, and I think they honestly believe they had a good chance of making it through to the next stage. And obviously, what it means for Chinese Counter Strike as well. G won the hearts of everyone, that even the main Counter Strike Twitter posted that they love him, you know?
Yeah.
And so, obviously, you guys wouldn't have seen this because this is off camera. But me and my wife were talking to him afterwards, and his manager was there, and Mosier was there as well. And I just said to him, like, you guys have skill. And I said that also you have your own passion. I said, never change. Just be the way you are. Doesn't matter what the haters say, doesn't matter what the fans say, keep being you. And I said, before you come to Cologne, boot camp in Europe. Because they're just close, They're
Yeah.
close, but they still make some mistakes, but they've got the individual skill that they have a chance to break into like I'm not gonna say maybe top 15, but like a top 20 position if they were able to get those reps. Obviously, there's money that comes with all of this, and the opportunity and where they might be able to train, but they can go Serbia pretty easy as Chinese people. I don't think they've got a
But
good
I
visa
don't think I
relations.
don't think top 15 is like that unrealistic at
It's
all.
unrealistic in
But
the
I
BRS if
also
you think about it not getting so many events, like if you
yeah,
compare it
that's
to
true.
others.
But like I still could see them being like the 15th best team in the world, even though they might not have the opportunity to get the VRS points.
Yeah.
Over time, I could see them be there.
But they got to keep their
Um,
foot on it now. They got to push, right? They got to keep going.
Yeah, but also like a little bit about the personality and what he exudes and how it
Yeah, yeah,
feels
yeah.
for us as like a Western fan watching the games. I grew up like watching a lot of different esports, and
Yep.
you watch StarCraft, for example, you watched
Yeah, yeah,
Warcraft
yeah.
3, and I always thought it was really hard to kind of there was a few of them, but really hard to kind of know what the personality of some of the like best Koreans or Chinese players were. It was mostly, you got the Western fans. Was the same in the StarCraft space. It was hard. There was a few of them, but really hard to get to know some of the best players in the world
Yeah.
for who they were as people and players. So and for that reason, you kind of always shifted towards being, a fan of a Westerner and cheering for a
Hmm.
Westerner. There was some, as I said, that you could cheer for, but this is like a breath of fresh air for me, with someone that kind of exudes all this personality and charisma, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
that you just feel like, man, I want him to win. I don't like
Yeah. You
he
start rooting
showed
for him,
so much
man.
personality. Like there's more personality in G that I've seen than most, like even Europeans doing interviews,
Yeah.
for that I've watched for years.
Definitely.
So he has that likability that you just
By far.
you want him to win. You want him to have success because of that charm.
Yeah, and like look at the way they went out. Okay, so they beat M80. Great game on train, by the way. The way they have managed to handle that. M80 is not a great team, but I'll be honest. We can touch on a little bit. The M80. I think what we'll do, Devils, as we're segueing through these, we've got our teams we want to touch on, but like just because I'm mentioning M80's result, it's a team without a map pool. It's a team who told me they were like had been working on it, but we couldn't really see it as major. Their season continues
Yeah.
to get worse. I also just heard some rumors that the organization itself, not the players, but the organization is struggling financially. So it could be a rough ride for them to a potential close their doors unless they get some other investment in, which is that's always sad to hear, especially for a North American organization. Then
It's
Tyloo
probably
go up
not
against
easy for
FaZe.
the team as players as well. Just having
Yeah, I
that
don't
in
know
the
if they
back of
know
their
that.
mind.
I just heard some outlying rumors of
Okay.
it. But then Tyloo go up against FaZe right after getting that win. So you're like, yeah, and then you're like, oh damn. There's a video on the FaZe esports Twitter of G about to face them, yeah, and he's doing the FaZe up sign. I'm not going to try to do the FaZe up sign again. But he's doing the FaZe up sign, and Carrigan shouts, "I'll buy you ice cream after the game." And I understand them losing to FaZe. That's not a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like for some of these players, like G, these are players he looks up to, he loves, he's watching. But it's the Lin Vision game, man. It's like that's your domestic rival. You've struggled against them in best of threes. You go onto a map of Anubis, which you're actually pretty good at, and you get dominated. And that's the sad one, you know. I know it's a domestic matchup, but Lin Vision had them every step of the way.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, looking back at knowing the results of everything,
Mm.
Lin Vision, I don't know what they were on, but they've been fucking cooking this like the whole major. They've been
Yep.
constantly put in the 0 free bracket, doesn't even matter what stage we're talking about, and they're continuously ruining everyone's pick'ems, like killing it. And you love to see it, you know, this like Emilia guy,
Oh yeah.
another like Asian personality I just love watching. I don't think I've laughed as much as I have
Did you see
watching
him
this
spitting on
guy.
the interview?
Like, I don't know what he's on, but he is hilarious, man. He
Mm-hmm.
is hilarious.
It's his
Um,
moment, man. He's just having his moment.
I just love this like half broken English, like mid round screaming, "What are you doing?" When he was playing like the last games.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
it is special.
so good.
I think the Tyloo story, right, is also
Yeah,
why I said about the boot camp thing, because I don't want to do too much time on Tyloo just because I'm fanboying over G. I am a fan of G
yeah.
now, just going to say that he is my boy.
I
Um,
think a lot of people are.
well, okay. Another story because we like the stories that come out of these things, right? Rather than just looking at all the analysis of it. When he gave me his jersey, he said, "Oh, Munacy is my favorite player." Yeah, and he really like he loves Munacy. Yeah, and he's like, "But today he got eliminated," and he was so sad that Munacy got eliminated. And he was like, "I wanted to change jersey with him," and they had agreed to change jersey, but obviously
Oh,
Manus, he wasn't thinking it. And G was sad. And then he just switched and he was like, maybe we can do it in clone. And he's got this like youthfulness, kid like way of going through things that he understands the heartbreak because they both had heartbreak. Yeah.
yeah,
And he was like, okay, I can do it at the next opportunity, you know? But like, they are like the young Chinese players are mega fans of the current stars of Counter Strike. And that's beautiful.
yeah.
I do love that. But away from my story, the heroic one, I feel like they were so sad after they lost that Mirage, and they know they had that Mirage, like it would have been their map. It was just a few real small details. I think that's what crushed them. But they never stopped fighting. So I've got a lot of love and respect now for Tyloo.
Yeah, I mean, it was close games. They probably could have picked up any of those maps, if
Yeah,
we're gonna be fair. But
definitely.
also heroic, you know, they're a great team. We probably expected them to make it through the next stage as well. But it was
Yeah.
kind of a messy bracket. Like, be
Yeah,
honest.
because everything went topsy turvy from the very beginning. Everything went
Yeah,
crazy.
but it's just crazy. Like you have Falcons OG in the O2 games. Like
Yeah.
everything's messed up in all kinds of twisted ways.
Well, you're looking at O2. I'm going to take us to a 3-0 because I've got some strong opinions on this. VP,
Okay.
yeah. VP 3-0. They destroy OG 13-2. They destroy Bait 13-3. They don't destroy Pain. If you look at it, like there was a chance for Pain to win Dust 2.
They were in control.
But it was still a 2-0 victory for VP. This VP does look great, does look better. But I have been lied to all year. We have spoken about VP's ups and downs all year. Yeah. And
but you've been riding their wave in every single prediction, in every single tournament that we've talked on this podcast.
It's always one bad tournament, then goes into a good tournament. I always say it's going to be a good tournament after the bad one, yeah? So Astana was bad, meaning this would be good. Yeah?
That's like the logic chart of VP.
That's the logic VP. That is it. That's because once you give up on them, they're like, haha, look, we're back. We're going to do some damage now. And they did look great. Obviously, they're coming off the back of a boot camp as well. Finn's had some more time. Remember, Finn came as the coach for Astana, yeah, after Melbourne. And he just had to learn of what they needed fixing, all the things they needed to do. He obviously has experience working with Electronic, but I'm not going to jump the gun on the hype train of these guys just yet because they didn't struggle. Now, Electronic didn't rage at Icy or shout at Flammus or get crazy and angry, yeah? He was enjoying life because everything was going well. I'm still worried that if he does tilt, or if he, because remember, he said in this interview on HLTV, like, he's seen colossal improvement as an in-game leader. Well, if you think he was in-game leading, not just on VP, but even at Na'Vi at one point, you've had more than enough time. I respect you, Electronic. Yeah. You've done some great things, but you should be improving. And actually, you've had players where you should have been doing better at times than what you have. And if they start to struggle, I still want to see supportive, happy, motivating his team version of Electronic. And that's what I'm still doubting. And especially as when we go into this stage, that's the real test for them. Because they were supposed to make it through this stage.
But I will say, like, just looking at like eye test things, it looks like they are a way more consistent team. Mm-hmm. It looks like they're handling situations better. They're not looking stressed at all, but it might be the case that you're saying that they weren't really pressured to that point where you get all of these emotions caught up into you, and you get an icy missing easy shots and getting blamed or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But to me, it still looks like a different VP, like way different. I'm raising the bar for what VP could do. I think they could actually surprise a couple of big teams in stage 3.
So they've made you believe.
Yeah.
See, that is already, that's part of this VP charm, when they're down and out.
I'm falling into the trap. I might be falling into the trap, but we'll see. Or is it like this then? Okay. In the VP logic chart, since stage 1, 2, and 3 are technically separate tournaments on the HLTV page, does the logic apply to the stages? Like, if stage 2 is good, is stage 3 bad?
Yeah, do you know what? We don't even know about that logic yet. That's hard to say because they've just been going event to event. So my logic doesn't actually understand whether this will work. We will have it answered when we get to the end of stage 3 if they make it to playoffs or not. So I'm not gonna
follow up on the logic chart of VP.
We'll come back to it. I think that's the best way. Another team, interesting. I think a lot of people had Heroic going through after what they saw in stage 1. And obviously, they end up falling to Nemiga here. The first thing is, remember we said how spicy that FaZe game would be? Well, they met a Simple who was back to, you're gonna be shouting at us. You're gonna make this like into a bit of a banter war. No, it's not gonna happen. And Karrigan, he even started bantering him hard because obviously after the game they normally kind of leave it, but it was done the opposite way when they played in Dallas. And okay, Karrigan tweeted. I should actually bring up the Karrigan tweet, right? Let me make sure I correctly say this. This is my lack of preparation. He says, I don't think shouting after the game, I don't like shouting after the game is over, but had to because of last time. A bit BM, which means bad manners, but got carried away. GG, well played, Heroic, and no hard feelings, I hope. So yeah, he was just doing it back. It was funny. The sirens were going, woo, 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 the whole time. But that ambulance sirens were just for heroic because they didn't stand a chance. And I think
No, they got absolutely destroyed.
and the thing is, they had a chance to bounce back, but then they lost to Bait, who they know very well. And this is what I don't like afterwards. They played FaZe, yeah. Then they played Bet Boom, Bait, Tyloo, Nemiga, all teams from stage 1. So you didn't even have to deal with leveling up teams, so to speak, yeah? The teams that were already in stage 2, and you still didn't make it. I felt like they kept a very strong mentality, even with the fact they know Sunpius and Saw are confirmed going to G2. Sunpius gave me a very good loser interview at the end as well, on the
Yeah, I
exit.
saw it.
And he was just so sad, right, about the fact they were dropping the pistols, and he actually enjoys playing CS with these guys. The one thing I think will actually be in the back of Sunpius' mind, this is just a thought I have, is that if he likes playing with his team so much, there's got to be a bit of worry that, like, okay, I'm going to another team. It's like, uh-oh, because maybe you don't enjoy it on the G2 camp as much. He's probably going to enjoy it with Saw, but he said, I want to stay with Saw no matter what.
Now that I actually think back, hasn't Sunpius pretty much been the superstar in every team he's performed in? Because when he was in Falcons, it felt like he kind of dropped off a little bit.
The only drop off, yeah.
Yeah. Because in Ends, he was amazing. He was amazing
him and
in, what was it, Movie Star he came
Movistar
from?
Riders, yeah.
And obviously now, he's obviously the top dog in Heroic. No one can really say anything about that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of melds into that G2 once it happens. I'm gonna keep a lid on that one a little bit and let it cook for a bit.
And I feel like this Heroic is not the last we see of these players. It all just depends on, they need a really good coach. And like Ash from Gamer Legion, he's just re-signed for Gamer Legion. Liquid's looking for a good coach right now. Like, their options are very limited. And the options of players they might get, maybe a Dexter, for example, comes back to Heroic. They obviously know him if they can make sure all his visa stuff sorted out and he's good. I don't know if they'd go the Brokey route, but it's like, now it's about what's next after this player break for Heroic, because getting Europa is one thing, but getting a good coach like you had from Saw and how much he's taught these players, dude, it's so much, because this Sangor core leveled up hugely under him.
Yeah, that's true. And he's obviously a big loss. I don't think he's replaceable at all. I don't think they can. As you say, like, you can find an Auper that's young, talented, but who's gonna be, the mentor for that, and who's gonna make sure that they play as well as they've done? Because I think it's hard to be positive about what's going to happen with Heroic in the future. So
yeah, it's too much unknown. There's some good pieces, but they've lost such big roles within theirs. This will be suck and sad for these guys, but like, if all doesn't work out, basically most of these players will have a home somewhere else at some point. That's for sure. Tania could go to any Russian speaking team, maybe even Nemiga, and try and level them up. I'm not saying Nemiga needs to make changes, obviously. LNZ can go to one of the Swedish lineups. Exile could go to Aurora. There's all these possibilities depending on what happens after the major and how results go. For looking at who eliminated Heroic, it was today's game, 2-2 game, and they go up against Nemiga, another team similar to Bait, where they have the experience of playing a lot online against each other. For me, Nemiga and Heroic were two teams, at least the Sangor core, were the ones that, like, they raised up together. And this Nemiga, they were pretty bad compared to, Maui called them, and I think he's right, they were onliners when they were coming into the Shanghai RMR. And here, they've learned, they've grown. And stage 1, not too bad from them, they come through 3 to 5th. Here, they come through in last place, but like, they lost to Pain, they beat MIBR, they almost took down 3D Max. 3D Max could have thrown that one. 2-0 M80, 2-0 Heroic. They've got some interesting pieces. And Lear, the Belarusian kid in-game leader, dude, his trash talk is funny as hell, man. It's unexpectedly funny. We asked him about it in the winners interview, and he's just, he's like not planning it out, but he's aware of what he wants to try and do, and some things just come to him in the moment. But he's nailing it, and his young players are enjoying it as well.
No, he was also a pleasure to watch. Most of the trash talk was in Russian, I believe, or
He was
something
getting
like
better.
that.
He was
But
mixing it up.
yeah, but I did like it. Who was it? He did it, the taxi thing, where he just
Oh, to
like
M80, yeah. You'll be at the airport. You'll be at the airport in a few minutes. We'll have a taxi picking you up from here.
like a
Oh, it
big
was
game.
good.
No, but I thought they were really impressive. I watched the entirety of that game, and I think obviously heroic. They got off to a great start on Mirage. They were
Yep.
cruising, and all of a sudden they throw a couple of rounds and they just make it back. Both from great calling, but also great like individual skill. Um, I was especially impressed with this Khan guy and obviously Sway. If that's how
Oh,
you,
it's
yeah,
the
Sway.
Zway. I say Zway,
Sway.
like it's the, like, imagine saying way, yeah? I've been memeing his name into, rather than saying it's the way, you say it's the sway.
It's the Sway. It is the Sway though,
I need
because
help.
he was massive. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why, but in some weird way, like he's so calm, and I checked
Very.
some interviews and stuff that Khan even said that he's like becomes motivated by his calmness and
Yeah.
impressed by it.
It's the aura that
And
he gives to his other team.
it reminds me of Flasha, like Flasha was always
Oh,
super calm. He was always like
a
nothing
chill guy.
bothered in game. It didn't matter if it was you know you queued a competitive in the game, random matchmaking, or if you played like a major final, he'll have the same kind of mellowness to him, and talk the same way and play the same way.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see it on this kid on the camera. He's just sitting there, he's just like click click talking normal. It's
Just enjoying his
just
time.
super chill.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
he
it's
was,
it's it's not easy to do that. Like, let me tell you, it's really
oh,
really hard.
definitely
You have
not.
to be like, I don't know, almost weird mentally, checked out in some way.
Well, he was predicted by Donk to be like the next, like a rookie to blow up, you know,
Yeah,
on the HLTV top 20s. And like, that's huge props if he's getting that from Donk.
yeah.
So that's a really positive sign for the kid's future. And he's only 17. And he's pretty good with his English as well. So I like it. I respect it. And by the way, Nemiga was the lowest rated team in terms of like ranking of anyone on that stage. And yet they still made it to stage 3. Props to them. That's a big showing. That means a lot for these
Yeah,
players, for that
super impressive.
organization. From Nemiga, I'm going to go to Lin Vision because I know we already touched a bit on Amelia off the back of the G conversation, but Lin Vision, dude, what is like you said, some people had him as 0-3. I was one of them. I'm happy to stand corrected. Obviously, we know Falcons, and we'll come on to Falcons later. There's so much to unpack there, but Falcons played a bad tournament. But Lin Vision beat them when, like, they're also fans of a lot of these Falcons players. They then beat Tyloo. They fell to Furia the same as they did in Dallas. And it didn't, by the way, the way they lost to Furia, 13-4, that's when I was looking at like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm not expecting much from them. Then they have a qualifying game, so they beat Falcons and they play Tyloo and they go up into 2-1. They had to play against Pain. They didn't really show up against Pain. Like, Pain handled that game as they should. But then they face Bait. And Maui said, I think it was 60-40 favoring to Bait in this one. I would have said like 70-80. And that's okay. I've got a bit
yeah.
of Ukrainian bias in there. But I did that interview with MPL, the pre-match interview, where he said, like, we're not feeling pressure. We're confident. We should easily beat these guys. Like, all these buzzwords. And it felt like to me now afterwards when I stepped back from doing that interview, because MPL was getting a lot of hate, and I don't think it's fair. He's a young kid. Bait's not an organization with sports psychologist and mental coach and performance coach and everything else. It's just 5 guys, the coach. There was a manager there, and there was Prince, a video guy. And I feel like they felt pressure and they were nervous, and they were just trying to mentally say, no, it's all fine, like, it'll be okay. And then what ended up happening was they got rocked on Dust 2. Call Me Sue, who was the lowest rated player for Lin Vision of the entire tournament, just came through and went, this is like, I'm going to have the game of my life.
He was crazy on the first match. He had like 15-2 or something, 15-3
Couldn't miss
stats as a rifler. It was unbelievable. But I will say about that pressure thing, you know, when you say things like, this is, you know, gonna be like easy, we're taking a chill, we expect to win, that's when you actually add pressure. Because like, you go into this game, every single round you lose is just a massive loss. It's just like one of this look up in the sky kind of like, we should win every single round. That's the mentality they have, and it's like taking the win before it has happened, you know.
That's what it felt like.
And then you just, everything, it can only, you can only lose by it, you know. If you go into a game and say, yes, we're confident, but it's gonna, you know, we have to fight for it, you know, that's a different thing than saying, you know, we have it, you know. Because that's not really, that's like kind of lying and putting the expectation really high.
You're lying to yourself as well, you know.
And
this is the thing I
the
don't
pressure
like.
got to them. Like, you could see on the cameras, like, they were, if you look, the difference between some of the other games they played, they have all looked super chill. They've made the plays. They've consistently been like calm in the chaos to some extent, where everyone just kind of ropes in, pushes through at the same time. I feel like, you know, they obviously stepped up on that Ancient, but they couldn't do anything right on Dust 2. Stepped up on Ancient. They almost throw it a little bit there on Ancient as well. Like, you could see the shakiness kind of coming back. They weren't really settled yet. And then on Anubis, I was watching it and I was like, first 5 rounds, I said, this is over. It's absolutely over.
It's just the amount of CT rounds, man.
Yeah, Lin Vision had such a great start on CT.
Double pushing water, double pushing mid pistol.
Every single round, you could see, like, I don't know exactly the names, but I think it was like Alex 666. He was like full molding.
He can't believe what's happening, man. He's not aware. He doesn't understand. He's like, wait a second. Everything I thought about for this game. Like, by the way, for everyone to know, any team that would have got Lin Vision in that 2-2 situation would be like, yes, thank you. This is the matchup I want to make it through to the next stage. This is where, as long as I do what I'm supposed to do, it should be on paper easy. And I feel like they were overconfident. They did have pressure that they were trying to shake off. And even if they were prepared for the aggression that Lin Vision can throw at them, the individuals were not mentally ready enough to push them back in that way.
But they're kind of the B&E of this major, let's be honest, Lin Vision. I don't think they're actually a really good matchup to play against. It's the aggression, you know. One of the things that you can do about aggression, right? Like, you can do a couple of things. You can do flash plays, kind of catch them in the middle of their movement so they don't get to safe position. You can put aggression, like, you essentially, all the answers is always aggression to counter aggression, right? In some way. And if you don't hit your shot and you keep throwing yourself at aggression, essentially the only option you're left with is falling back, which just gives aggression so much space. So you will then lose the tactical battle only because you've given up so much space.
Giving up all that map control. Yeah. And do you know what I feel is sad? Is like, I spoke to MPL before the pre-match interview, and I said, like, the stage 1 version of you and the stage 2 version of you is different. And he said, like, I don't care. There's no difference in it. And I think that's when I probably realized, okay, he's actually very worried about this. Like, he knows he's not performing. And then the second most, well, probably Hedrick's probably more experienced than MPL, because MPL is time on Na'Vi. Hedrick had a bit of a longer stint playing for NIP. And he ends up being the lowest rated player of the team, of the whole game. And he's your AWPer who you need to step up if other people are struggling as well. And he couldn't be finding that impact. I'm not putting it all on him. I'm thinking it's just a big learning experience, but it was also some overconfidence into this matchup that kind of slapped him down in many ways.
I'll tell you. We had this learning experience in like summer 2013 when
Hmm.
I was playing with the Fnatic boys. Well, we weren't Fnatic back then, but we were Epsilon playing the
Okay.
finals of
Yeah.
DreamHack Summer 2013, just before we got picked up by them.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things we learned was like how to deal with these kinds of pressure, how to, maybe not have overly high expectations but still high enough so that you're still in the game and motivated to play, and being shut down in that way. It felt like we learned the most valuable lesson you could as a competitor as early as you could,
Yep.
and it was the best thing for us. Like, we learned so much how to deal with games from that experience, and I hope they take this and actually talk about it, like, not in a negative way, and make it positive, like,
Yeah.
it's better they go through this now, instead of, some people don't get this lesson until they're like 25, because there's not that many people that are this young as bait guys are,
Yep.
that go through to a major, play against the best teams in the world, and perform, right? So I think for them, if they can make this a valuable lesson where they go into it, they look at it and say like, okay, we actually kind of mind fucked ourselves going into this
Yeah.
game, which just made us perform worse. We had higher expectations every single round. That's why you tilt, by the way. It's because
Yeah.
obviously the result is not what you wanted
Like,
and
what's
you
going
can't take
on?
it. So
Yep.
that's why you tilt. So you have to, like, okay, it's an even game. That's why everyone goes for this like weird ass shit, like never underestimate an opponent. Because
Hmm.
if you underestimate them, then everything is a loss in the game. Everything. You lose a pistol, you lose an anti-eco, you lose a weapon round. Everything tilts you because you put the expectation so high.
Well, look at
So
this.
learning that lesson is like insanely valuable. So I hope they do and come back and just keep grinding. They're a really, really exciting team to watch.
To segue into FaZe from here, right? Simple said on the winners interview, he sat on the desk with Carrigan as well. Even he's got pressure, and they're playing
Yep.
MIBR. You know, the greatest player of all time. He's got pressure. He knows what he's got to do, and it's a learning point. And you're right. If they can learn it a bit earlier, that would definitely be positive for him. So let's turn that into our conversation on FaZe, because they did also make it, but just about. Now, I was on the FaZe hype train. Personally, I believe that this was going to be epic, and I thought they had the easiest run of all time. Because after they took down Heroic in that best of one, that was the probably harder matchup from what we saw from IM Dallas. Then they got Tyloo, and you're thinking, okay, you win Tyloo 13-5. But it's the way they lost to Legacy. And Carrigan in the interview said, like, this way of communicating doesn't work. He said these were the issues they were facing. It wasn't the same team that showed up on the day for the best of ones. Then 3D Max, same story again. And I'm thinking, oh no, is it all falling apart? Honestly, MIBR probably deserved to win a map against FaZe. They probably could have taken Ancient. Um,
Yep.
it's not pretty. But Carrigan still got this way of winning. Simple is starting to hit shots. Like there was a moment against Legacy, and there was a couple of moments against MIBR where I saw the amazing AWP shaky aim style of Simple, where he gets 1, 2, 3, and he's feeling the game and he's moving around. And like what he was doing at the end of this MIBR game, where he was moving around a bit more and not just trying to be a turret, I was seeing that game sense great player of Simple. And if that can just get unlocked a little bit more, it's still a team that can be deadly. It's still a team that can
No,
find success.
100%. I still think, there are some things that I think he does a little bit better, almost to some degree, because he's not this like overly cocky simple anymore, where he just
Hmm.
takes every single duel that exists to some degree.
Yep.
I think he plays really smart. I don't think he's going for all that much like I'm gonna go kill everyone style. Um, and as you say, there are glimpses where you see kind of Goat Simple come back and clutch them out of situations.
Yeah.
There was plenty on Ancient that pulled them actually into that victory, where he got like 3K, 1v2s, 1v3s almost. and consistently getting impactful kills while not being a coward. He's putting himself into risky situations to help his teammates, and I like what I see. I think there's a lot of potential in this FaZe lineup, and it
Ooh.
feels like Simple is kind of what they needed to kind of kickstart everyone's individual ability, because I think before it was pretty much only Frozen. I thought that was even remotely recognizable
Yeah.
with the old team. And I'm starting to see even things, from Kerrigan starting to pop off sometimes. Um, Rain is doing a great job. He has different positions and everything. He's still learning, I feel like.
Some
He's a
games were a
bit
bit rough for
choppy.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's still moments where I see, if they can just hit the groove, because it feels like they're getting better every game, and I don't think they have the highest expectation. They have high expectations to make it,
Mhm.
but I don't think they consider themselves, we're the best team in the world and we're gonna smash everyone.
No.
But
And
I
they're
think this
also
could be one of the first times FaZe goes into a stage 3
Mhm.
and actually could be the underdog in most of the games.
And I'd agree with you. Do you know why? Because other teams are not scared of him anymore. Even these young, plucky teams, they don't look at this and go, "Oh no, it's FaZe. They can always come back. They can
Yeah.
always come." They don't have that fear factor anymore. It's actually, "Oh, it's FaZe. Kind of beatable right now. Oh, it's FaZe. Yeah, they've got Simple. Yeah, they need a bit more of this. Like the magic of FaZe was always how they played off each other, that synergy, that
But
chemistry, and that doesn't
do you
exist right
think
now.
it's a disadvantage or advantage to be in the position they're in right now?
It's a disadvantage for the way Carrigan calls and the way Carrigan likes to play, but it's something I think he is smart enough and capable of to use in his advantage being the underdog now, because when you're the underdog, you should be extra motivated as these players to prove your point, and Simple himself definitely wants to be on that arena. He's not been
Yeah, but
when
I
was the last arena? Jesus.
I actually think it's one of those things where an advantage for them,
Mhm.
because uh, people, you know, they're not gonna be as easy to prep against. Everyone doesn't know. Everyone doesn't watch all the FaZe game. Like, there's no like story to watch the involvement of FaZe. This is a new lineup,
Yeah.
essentially. Yes, there are some things that are similar, but it's
Map pool's kind of
essentially a
shaky.
completely new team. And I think people go into it a little bit more relaxed going into a game against FaZe. It's not going to be, full try hard counter everything. They don't really know everything. So I think they're going to get a better flow of the game in a better
Mhm.
situation where Simple can do a lot more. And I think the individual players can do a lot more.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like them having a little bit more pressure off can get their team play to flow a little bit better, rather than everything needs to be perfect right now, right here.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's kind of how I'm viewing it. So I feel like it's an advantage.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes from when they get into stage 3. It's not too long away. From here, I want to look at Legacy. Maybe the last team we look at here within the stage 2 side of things. Because obviously, 3D Max obviously did better than expected, I would say. Furia making it through was positive for sure. Bet Boom was disappointing, but that's just Axar still not up to standard, and Siren didn't life series the stage, so that obviously hinders them a lot. So yeah, I think the last one we need to cover is Legacy, because this was a team. I'm just going to remind everyone who shouldn't have been at the major. They replaced Bestia. They struggled and came through in the last spots. They beat Wildcard 2-0, and that was probably the most impressive win that they had, of the first stage. Then they get a domestic matchup against MIBR for the first game. Now, that's beautiful for them. We said about that, right? That could be a bit of a
Yep.
50-50. They win it 13-10. But then they take down 3D Max. And then I start to think, ooh, Legacy, are we actually cooking? And then they take down FaZe. And I don't care if Carrigan says the team wasn't communicating the right way, and it wasn't what he wants, because Legacy were not scared of you. Demal was shouting, and Simple even told him to shut the fuck up at one point. And Demal didn't care. Demal's still young, hungry, and just madly confident. And Sad's in the AWPA, like, I'm gonna look at his stats. I don't think he had like the most amazing game.
Dude,
he was like
everyone was good.
1.21, but like he just had moments of great plays. Yeah. But I'm going to give so much credit to Lux because people might not know this. I tried to say it on the desk as well when we did one of their games. Lux was like a second caller in Pain, but he didn't know he was going to be an IGL. Yeah. He gets removed from Pain. And I heard the rumors of why he was removed from Pain at the time was that like he wasn't fitting with what he was doing with the younger players that were coming into the team. So it was like you needed him to go to give more space to some of the other players and make them feel more comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lux wasn't a bad player. He wasn't removed because he just like was terrible. He was more than capable. But then obviously he then has a voice. He's learned a lot from playing on these events. And he goes to Legacy and you think, oh, you're probably not going to see him for a long time. They took this golden opportunity and they ran with it. And you got to respect them. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to go make it through stage 3 and get to playoffs. But I'm going to say this is a dark horse right now for this next stage. Because they've got something working.
They have like Dumao and Lato was like, to me, was always really, really good players. Even when they were playing in that Godsend lineup with Taco for like, I don't even remember how many years ago. Was that like 2020?
Yeah, and then they were with Cold Zero after that. And I think some people described it as like, don't meet your heroes because it was like not a good time for them to be playing with Cold. You know, he was on his way down and wasn't the best way. And do you know what I heard as well? I think Moses mentioned this on the desk. Sorry if I'm wrong, Jason. But he said like Demao and Lato had offers to go to other teams, bigger teams for more money and didn't go. They just stuck it out with all this. Like this is a duo, I think. And by the way, I'll give a little credit to Demao as well. He was a bulky boy and then not fat, but like he's going gym. Yeah, he's loving gym, but he also loves his food. I was giving him food recommendations at different events. And now he's like leaning up because Lux is like a gym guy who is a bit leaner, a bit more on the cardio, you know, on that side of things. And he's one of these people. He said he's working on mindfulness. And I didn't know what this stuff was. Mindfulness is where like
you didn't know what mindfulness is?
Bro, I've never done that. Think how my mind works. That's impossible. It's where you're present, yeah, in the situation you're in. Sometimes he goes for walks without his phone and just like thinks about things and goes through it all. And this guy, he seems to be a person when he's dedicated to something or he wants to do something, he can just do it. And he also is very confident just in himself, just in how things are. As I'm learning more about this player, it becomes very interesting.
I mean, super impressive. I think I might be wrong, but I think he's the highest rated player in their team, and he's the in-game leader.
No, Lux is the in-game leader.
Yeah,
that's what
Lux.
I just said. Yeah, we're talking about.
So I think Lux
Lato is the highest rated
impressive.
of the whole event, by the way. Lato 1.37 for the whole of the stage. I hadn't looked at this.
That's crazy.
Dumao 1.25, Sadzin 1.23. Yeah, that's.
But they're all super, super good, and they're exciting to watch. They are the kind of team that likes to take risks, but still play like smart. You know, it's not like they're all about riskiness, but they kind of get into these unorthodox situations, and they're not afraid to use it, even if they're a solo guy. So you know, I respect the way they play. It's a perfect way to play on LAN, because people, then you'll end up in this situation where you're kind of bait and you're like, what the hell are they doing? And you just kind of tilt in yourself, and you can never get out of it. It's so hard because you have to, when you're playing teams like this, anything is possible. Usually you're playing a team and you're like, okay, they could do a B split here and they could execute B and they could do this. Let's prepare for this. And all of a sudden someone jumps through a smoke and headshots two guys, you know, like while you're having this moment of thought trying to read their game.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. You never get a chance to kind of be in that space of reading the game if you're playing players like this, that anything can happen at any point in time.
Yeah. So it's an exciting team, and I do think they can be a dark horse in some ways. I'm not predicting them to make playoffs or anything like that, but I've liked what I got to see from them. We'll move from here to look at our pick'ems that we did, mate.
Oh my god.
Okay. So in our predictions to start off with, yeah, so let's just do predictions. Opening game predictions that we had for stage 2. You got 2 correct. Or 3 correct, sorry. You got 3 correct. You predicted 3D Max to win over Bet Boom, Furia to win over. Oh no, I predicted Furia as well. Legacy to win over MIBR. And
the rest are red.
The rest are red. We just got everything else wrong. You predicted Heroic over FaZe. I predicted FaZe over Heroic, so I got that one right. But we suck. We definitely suck. And then our pick'ems we did together. These are your pick'ems, by the way. I think mine are even worse than yours.
You ruined my pick'ems.
Bro, I ruined my own pick'ems. So we had Falcons Heroic on your pick'ems to go through. I had Falcons FaZe. And then you predicted FaZe, Furia, Bait, Betboom, OG, Tyloo to go through to the next stage. Are we, by the way, when I look back at this isn't because I know the results, but we are fucking dumb because we put so many stage 1 teams, like we thought the stage 1 teams just going to go through to stage 3. Oh boy, we had no clue.
Technically they did. We just picked the wrong one.
The wrong yeah, but not as many as what we put. We put 4 going through, right? VP made it. Oh yeah, we put Legacy 03 and M80 03 as well.
Yeah, but the M80 really should have been 03. Let's be honest. That one is
they play like a
half
03
correct.
team.
That's that one. I wouldn't change it.
Also, they were very much like I told you I know Sin pretty well from when he was on Big, right? And I like him, but even he mentioned like, oh, I saw you picked us 03. I'm like, I'm sorry, bro, but you haven't given me anything to feel confident with. I know if a team and a player is thinking about that, it's a bad sign. If you're thinking about my pick'ems over your game, that's not a positive sign. that's not a moment we should all be happy about and enjoying, because you shouldn't care that much about the pick'ems as a player.
No,
but yeah,
it's tough.
We're not getting diamond coins, mate. We're definitely not getting diamond coin at all.
No one is getting diamond coins.
Wait a sec. Wait. We missed the last one. We missed the last one. We missed the last team. I was going to get us onto stage 3 next. We missed Falcons. Guess why?
Yes.
Because they were missing this whole event. It was awful. Everything
true.
was terrible about what we saw from this team. Oh my God. Now I'm going to have to go backwards. Jeez. It's like Falcons. Yeah. I've got so much to say about this.
You ramble on. Good. I'm going to prepare something over here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You got a nice one for us. Okay. So everyone's asking, what's up with Falcons? Nico, maybe the biggest choker in history. That doesn't take away from his skill and ability as a player. Losing to Bait in your opening best of 1 game? Sure. I'm not a problem. Losing to Lin Vision? It doesn't matter that Lin Vision have made it. They lost to Lin Vision. I think it was on Nuke. Was it on Nuke? Was it on Ancient? It was on Nuke, yeah. Like, Nuke is a good map for Falcons. Remember, this is the same Falcons that can challenge a team like Vitality. They just about beat OG. When I was watching that OG game, at one point, I was like, okay, OG have got this. Like, this is yours to have. And then, what the hell happened when they played MIBR? Because in the first half, or near towards the end of the whole game before we went to overtime, Nico had 5 kills. And I'm not a person to point out players for underperforming or not fragging out, but this is Nico, literal god of banana. Yeah, we're not talking about kings. We're talking about gods of banana. And at times, he was like, nothing went his way. He was getting killed through smoke. Some of it was really unlucky. He's killed through smoke. He can't get things done. He's in the mentality of like, please, just this game has to end. Like, nothing's going my way.
But I have to say, it does not feel like Nico should be a B player in some weird way. Am I the only one thinking that?
You need to explain this to me, because I only think of Nico MB.
Every single event I've watched him play B, he always gets caught off guard against like anti-eco situations, to like people just walking into B and he's holding nades or trading nades or whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I remember when he played really well on B.
G2 times, like
maybe G2
CS:GO times. I don't know. I can think of many great moments of it, but I can slightly agree, if I'm looking at recent bias and form, that it's not been great on Banana. But it's
like, I understand. Okay, like CS:GO Banana versus like CS2 Banana. CT Molly like extremely nerfed Banana takes. You can't even take Banana CT. I don't think I've seen a team really take Banana. You
Yeah.
try, and then T's get it anyways. Like that's essentially what happens.
Yep.
And you can only fight sandbags, which is just like, okay, if they double nade you, what do you do?
But it's a thing here as well where a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're not giving MIBR any credit," and I'm like, MIBR wasn't supposed to win that game. MIBR do deserve some credit for playing very well, especially on that last map and holding their own throughout all of this. But this is a Falcons who are supposed to be the second best team in the world, the only team that can challenge Vitality. And then we're talking about pressure. Every single one of these players has won some of the biggest tournaments in the world. Every single one of them. Yeah. Kickstan's the only outlier in this, and he wasn't a liability. But the
No, he was
depth
playing
to
great.
this Falcons team was missing. I spoke to Nico on day one of the event, yeah, and they obviously after Dallas they stayed in America to boot camp. I don't think that's the problem why they played badly, but I know they were trying to work on some things outside of the game with Lars, who obviously famous performance coach for all the success he did with Vitality when they won the Paris major, and before that, Astralis. You know, bringing all the majors with Zonic and Magis. These guys know how to work together. But I've read on YouTube, I've seen it, read on YouTube, watched on YouTube. He believes about like this waking up early, you know, having a set time of doing things, getting enough sleep, and all this stuff. Now, Nico said, he didn't tell me exactly what it was, but he said this live on broadcast interview. Let me just, I got the quote written down because I want to make sure I get this right for you before. I'm not trying to throw Lars under the bus. I'm worried about the execution here. Yeah. And he said they changed things out of the server because of Lars showing the way he wants to do things. Now, Lars is super experienced, but this is a Falcons who have been having success doing what they've been doing before this change. Changing it before a major, not slowly integrating it. I'm not sure how much he changed, what he changed, but say like Munacy, a demon of playing face it, yeah, grinding all the time. We know how much this guy plays. If you then suddenly change his routine before a major, and then we wonder why he doesn't play so well in the beginning couple of games. Now, I've not spoken to Munacy other than saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry to see you lost." He's very, very sad, as if all of the Falcons team, right? So I've got no information here, but I will say that if there were some significant changes that were trying to done for the whole team to make things better, I don't think changing a routine like that is a good, positive influence. Even if Lars swears by it, I don't know. We need to find out because I know Lars did an interview
No, but
with the broadcast at one point.
I agree with you. If you change all these kinds of routines, especially coming into an event, I mean, CS players are, you know, we all know they have these little uh, rituals and things. And we
Yeah.
talked to Monacy about the jersey swaps, which is another thing
Oh yeah.
they
By the
did
way,
for this
they
event.
also changed jersey.
Uh,
They did change it at Dallas as well, so it's not kind of changing it for the major, but that's not great either.
No, and especially if it actually has an impact on players.
Mental superstitions.
Yeah, I think that's a bad thing. But I agree with you. If they do change these like kind of habits and stuff, I would rather have it be slowly integrated. Something you do like, okay, we didn't do well in this major. Let's
Yep.
start it now, kind of thing, and work from there. But I will say about the actual in-game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at that Inferno, they were getting so out cold. Like when they were CT side Falcons, I think pretty much every single round they stacked the wrong sides.
Yeah.
I think they struggled like B the first two rounds. And then all of a sudden they start rotating a third guy over in the start of the round. And then it just hit A. And then they
Yeah.
start rotating to A and leave like Nico alone on B. They hit B. You know, every single round it felt like MIBR just had the right call. And it felt like Falcons were in like, we need rounds now, we need rounds now. And they kind of just dug themselves into a bigger hole in some
Yeah.
sense. Now they did play an amazing T side. Well, yes, they did. Considering if they just didn't fuck up their CT side, that would have been a great T side.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've got some more info here because for some reason, Striker from HLTV, people know him from HLTV confirmed as well. He knows his CS stuff. He said, I, for one, would like to see performance staff take responsibility for the bad stuff for once, especially when Falcons failed at what the psych staff should be responsible dealing with the pressure. Now, that's not directly like aimed at Lars. I obviously, I think the way he worded it a bit, even though he's a journalist, was not like clean on the nose. But Lars even replies to this, by the way, and he says, fair question to raise, Milan. No doubt that this early exit was not according to the plan. If it was due to wrong periodization, peaked too early, or the weight of the 5 rings, I don't know what the fuck that is. That is too early to say at the moment. That calls for further analysis. But let us meet for a new talk late summer. Yeah. So he's open to this conversation, which means I think Lars is happy to take some responsibility for things. But
yeah,
any performance coach, and there are lots of performance coaches in esports, by the way, that you guys don't hear of. You don't hear their names, and yet they'll take credit for every win. They'll take credit for every trophy. They'll be there in all the photos. But it is true that a lot of them don't take any responsibility when shit goes wrong, when you see them tilting and losing their minds. And if stuff in game fails, right, like they're bad tactically or they don't hit their shots, I can give them that. But some of this psychological stuff, the performance coaches should say, yeah, I need to work with him more. Yeah, I need to do this right. I would like them to see that. I would like to see some responsibility taken, but maybe not as aggressively as like it's all my fault, you know. There is just multiple people who take responsibility for it. But I think within this game, the tilt shown by Falcons, the pressure they're under, you could see. And if it comes out that like, because remember, Falcons put out these like vlog documentary style things anyway. If it comes out that they did change a lot of things of rituals and the way they play, like what Nico told me in this opening interview, there's stuff outside the game, and then that didn't work for them, then that's a problem. And that's a problem they need to address of how they implement these things, because you can't rush this process. If someone suddenly told me, oh, Banks, you like to go to bed at 1 a.m. and you like to have your routine where you go gym in the morning. Well, actually, no, you're going to go to bed at 10 p.m. and you're going to gym later in the day and do this, and this work before. Yeah. And if they did that before, like a really big event, say I'm coming to work the major and they want to change my schedule like that, it would be
mid
a change
broadcast,
and it
Banks
could,
go to gym.
yeah, it could just throw you off.
Yeah.
And that's what we know. That's what I'm saying. There's what that accountability has to come into it, because the players will take theirs. And Nico's getting obviously so much critique on him, but he's still one of the great riflers. And I'm not. And also, some people try to say, oh, well, Magis is being kicked. Kielski's coming in and he's going to be. And that's the reason why they didn't do well here. No, because even if Magisk is going, this is a multiple major champion. This is a legend of the game. This is not a person who would just sandbag a team or not be motivated or not play up to standard. No way. I'm never in
I
a
agree
million
on
years
that.
believing that.
I agree on that, but I would still, is it like, you could still post a question. Is it optimal for Falcons to keep making changes or announcing changes or searching for changes before a major?
I just think like it's the
Like, that
worst
question can
case.
still be posed.
Yeah, no.
And
I think it's always the worst case. Like when we spoke with Hooksy, if you have a change that's going to come up to your team, announcing it before an event or the rumors coming out before an event is the worst thing that can happen on a mental side of things, no matter what. I think we can all agree with that. But my problem is the journalists that keep leaking this stuff are French, and there's a lot of French people behind this Saudi organization. So if Falcons are leaking it to control the media in this sense, you're also sandbagging yourself and your own team. But obviously, this is just pure speculation.
True.
There's a lot of shit that don't make sense here, mate. There's a lot of shit. And also, we can segue into this because I think I've done enough of this bit. It's just, you've got some fire to add to all this because we're bringing back Devilwalk-through for you guys. I know how much people have been loving this. Devilwalk-through has taken something from this Falcons MIBR game, because still, when I've watched it 6-7 times, I don't understand how this happened. So Devilwalk, give it to me, brother.
Well, how it happened, we will understand how it happened. Why? That's another question. Yeah, so we
Okay.
might look at this video a couple of times. It's a little bit of a short one. We're just gonna go through this round, right? And we kind of have just this video playing. And one of the most important things, I'm gonna just let this one run so we get to see it, how
This
it
is
actually
5v3.
unfolds. This is
5v3,
the
just to be clear.
5v3, right? It is, according to some stats I saw online, the only 3v5 victory on the B site in Tier 1 Counter Strike this year.
Who was the guy
And
who
this is
said
how
that,
it
by the
go.
way? Who was the guy? I want to just make some credit to that guy.
I do not know his name in the
I'll
top of my
find him.
head, but I'm
I will
sure
find him.
it's easy to find. So essentially, I'll go through this a couple of times and stop and show. And one of the key things that I notice is
Mm-hmm.
this kind of situation. Monacy is holding banana.
Yep.
I'm gonna jump a little bit back and forth into this program where we see an overview instead,
Mm-hmm.
kind of run the round. I think one of the most important things here is we look at the clock. We have 34 seconds on the bomb here,
Yep.
and this is essentially the decision that kind of changes the whole output of the round. I think just looking at things logically, if you own banana
Yeah.
ST or own ruins fully ST,
Mm-hmm.
you essentially have a really, really high chance of winning an afterplan. That's like
Yep.
rule number one, basic of Counter Strike. That's the objective, right? You want to own one of these spots for the afterplan situation because it makes it incredibly difficult for CTs if one of these are not controlled, or if both are not controlled, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, first mistake, Mondesi is holding this line, right? He makes a decision, I'm going to fall back. And if we look at the movements that actually happen, Mondesi goes here because he wants to hold coils.
Yep.
Tessus takes over Mondesi in banana,
So
and
there's
he's
the
in
timing.
pool. And Kixan wants to take the pool position because of. So all of these decisions are strung together, right?
Yeah.
And the smoke is fading. Kixan gets low, trying to get into that position. Now, obviously, they know Kixan is there. They know he's low. It's not going to be a surprise for Safe later on. But we've just played this through. Here's another mistake, right? They make a really weird call here, or really weird individual decision, because they're still fine at this point. They're still fine.
Yeah.
Even though this happened, they're completely fine. But what you want is obviously Mondesi holding the line, Tess is tucking into this corner and just holding, because you have to remember this line, he can still hold this and be
Yeah.
safe from coils because of that little corner in there, and cover and be in a tradable position. But here Tessus gets kind of a brain freeze, just pushes out. Mondesi cannot see him in this angle. And he's forced out into a position where he wanted to help him with that push. And now he
Mm-hmm.
has no cover. Mondesi misses his shot and gets punished again. They obviously know about Kixan. He gets killed from safe.
It's so quick.
And now Nico dies, and they pretty much know that Magic is left in that double spot. And it's
Yeah.
over. And everything happens because of this one thing, right? So Mondesi letting this go, which there's no need to do. He should keep that line, and it's literally impossible for them to lose the round.
Mm-hmm.
That's mistake number one, but they're still fine. You see Kicks on there getting spammed. He jumps into the pit. Now you see here better from the angle what happens.
Oh,
Tessa
they run
swings
out.
out very wide, and you see Mondesi has no
Yeah.
chance to help him. And now Mondesi is exposed in a bad position. He misses his shot, get punished, and you see the reaction here from Kixan. Here, Mondesi dies on the screen, and you see his reaction. He needs to do something because he's now going to get pressured from Banana, a
Mm-hmm.
rifler, when he's red HP. So he has to do something, and he dies. So 3 deaths just from this like one decision, and now it's just, obviously a great shot from I can't even pronounce that name. But
BRN.
BRN. And then you just cleanly get around. But what's so goddamn annoying is when the first kill happens here on Banana, there's 25 seconds left.
Yeah.
Like this is unbelievable that it happened. But it all stems from this one line. So like Monos is not like it's all his blames. These things happen. They can still recover it, but they're failing to recover in so many steps and essentially gifting it. Because even here, let's say Monacy was still tucked in here. There's 20 seconds on the clock. Imagine a duel where he jiggles, he doesn't get killed, he can buy some time, he maybe get killed
He's
from
full
a
health.
coils guy. But it also gives security for Kicksan, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't need to swing out. If Monacy is in a safe position, he can gain some time to make a more accurate decision. I will just run it through again, just for you guys to watch the madness unfold. You see the timing is also a little bit wonky here for Monacy. Whoop.
Yeah,
And he
it's
shows
just
up on
that's
Banana.
super unlucky. But why do you think
And
that call was made?
I honestly don't think it's a call at all. I think it's like a natural response from a player that hears someone. Okay, there's one ruins, someone one coils, one CT, and Monacy feels like okay. Kicksan got the info that the smoke is disappearing. He takes a new position. He wants to hold that for the retake. That kind of a setup where the triple guys can trade the coil guys, and he can hold coils for them, make them safe to kind of duel whenever they want. But it's just done in the wrong timing. I think if they were actually pressured, this would make sense.
Yeah.
But they were just so stressed. You can see it from Tess's reaction to
And the
Monacy's
game was
reaction
stressful.
after, Kixa's reaction. It's all just stress. Something needs to happen now. But if they just took a chill pill, did nothing, they would have won this round. 100 of 100. It's unbelievable, the timings and the small decisions that affect each other, right?
Massively. And then it costs Falcons their opportunity. There's no guarantee they would have made it through today, but the likelihood that they would have been able to make it through today. This is like it feels like the biggest choke, right? And the biggest loss. But it's because we held them to this point of the only team that could challenge Vitality as well, and what we've seen from them. I don't care if people say they peaked too early at this other. I don't think they peaked too early. It's just they were not ready for this stage and this pressure. And the mistakes because of that hit it. All the things we talked about.
Yeah, and I like it's one of those things where you want to just like have impact as a player. I'm pretty sure there's a call, Monacy here is like one coils, okay, I'll take care of him. I want to fix it, I want to help. But that's it, I think there's like over eagerness to help each other out that causes this, dropping the actual important responsibilities you already have. And then someone tries to cover for you, someone tries to cover for them to kind of get into probably what they've spoken about, how they want to set up in the after plans. And they're kind of forcing it instead of it naturally happening or naturally, adapting to it. So it feels like they're just forcing themselves into positions that they know they're comfortable being in, but instead dropping the ball on the responsibilities they've taken over previously.
And then that cost them the major. They've already left Austin fast. And we now need to just see when the news is going to come out about Kielski joining Falcons. If it's still going to be Magis going, or does that change anywhere? There's a lot for them to unpack. I don't know what content they're going to release afterwards, but we're in for a wild ride after this major. Maybe they even just announce it during the major. I don't know. We'll have to see what they go through. But for Falcons, this is disappointing. For the levels of players they have, this is disappointing. For where they were at since Monacy joined, which was very high up, constant second places, only losing to Vitality in the semis, of Dallas. It's
Yeah.
it's tough. It's real tough, and it changes things massively for the narrative going into stage 3. So we already looked at our pick'ems. We've already now covered all of this stuff. We've seen the Falcons fall out. So now it's stage 3 of the Blast TV Austin Major. We're going to go through our pros and cons and thoughts of the new teams coming in to this stage because we've already spoken about so many of the other teams. So you guys have a good idea of where they're at. So let's start over here in the Americas. The only team that is in the America side, it is Liquid. And they're not really American, but they got Naf and Twist, 2 Polish guys, Shuhei and Ultimate, and then the Israeli nerds in there. I don't know what to think of Liquid still because Dallas wasn't anything to write home about. They've now had a few events with Shuhei. I still think that I'm missing something from this team, especially now Twist is back into not leading, being able to have some more impact. They only beat FaZe in Dallas. Ultimate can be a bit more consistent, looks a bit better at times, but they are also still with their analyst as the coach, and they don't have like a full-time coach in there helping, which makes Shuhei's life harder, especially with how close he was with Cyclone and making that work. So I feel like Liquid is far away from being a safe team coming into this stage. And I'm hoping they've improved a lot, but it's still just a few weeks after Dallas. I'm just guessing they've been on hardcore grind mode. They would need to be.
Yeah, I mean, they have the players to potentially do damage. They have, Twist seems to be a little bit more back with Shui taking over the reins of the in-game leading. And they have, experienced pieces. They have X Factor players with obviously NAF and Nerds
Yep.
to be able to brunt that kind of skill.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so little we've seen from them, so they do end up looking like probably one of the worst teams going into stage 3 if we exclude the ones qualified.
Yeah.
They're probably in the bottom tier of it because they can make games close, but how much have they improved? They didn't really look ready last time, but now it's time where they've had enough time to actually implement some of the stuff Shui has brought to the table,
I hope
probably
so.
removing some of the things that was in their playbook from the past. So I think there's a lot of unknowns for Team Liquid, but looking at things and how they've been in the past and what you can look at, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look that great. I don't think they're like playoff ready for the major. I think this is still a
Unless
team that's
NAF suddenly is coming
building.
back.
Yeah, the Naffers. I mean,
It's a sad
that's
time for NAFers.
essentially their hope.
Yeah.
Because Naff can be like he can be one of the best players in the world.
Let me
He
ask you
he
this
has
then.
that
You
in
said
it.
that. You say he's one of the best players in the world, right? Yeah,
He
I'd go
can
back
be.
maybe, can be. I'd go back and say that maybe a year, 2 years ago. Now JKS isn't there. There's no overlap. There's no excuses anymore. He's been on Liquid for, I'm going to have to check, but it feels like forever.
I can't even
He
remember it.
joined Liquid. I've got it for you. I'm quick on this. Since 2018. Yeah.
Yeah.
If his performance continues to be bad and it's bad at this major, do they remove him? Is he the next to go?
After this major, I don't think they would kick anyone after this major. I think that
Really?
there's no. I still think that then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot and not really giving the project the time it deserves to some degree. I think it would be
But
a
look
mistake.
at
I
how
still
many
think
young, talented players there are to get, right? And I'm not a NAF hater. I'd love to see him come back. But how long can he be in this rut of a performance, this slump that he's admitted himself, and stay on a top tier team?
how long. I mean, it all
Mm-hmm.
depends how bad that is. I'd still say that there's potential in the guy to kind of flip the script and do better. And I
Yeah,
wouldn't
this major.
really No, I wouldn't say it's just this major. I think they're in a really
Okay.
difficult situation. I think if they had, a stage 1 or stage 2 to kind of warm themselves up, it would probably be better for them to some degree for the public eye than going straight
Mhm.
into a stage 3 where you're looking at probably some of the hottest teams right now, obviously. And I think they're going to struggle personally because they have zero notable placements this year. They have good players, but haven't really made it work yet. There is potential. There has been improvements, but it's not been enough for them to
Okay.
be making any competitive runs.
You're being very nice right now, and I know
Yes.
that's your way, so that's no problem. I've gone back to all of his HLTV games since he was on a team called Lunatic and Denial. Yeah. Only at the beginning when he joined Liquid in 2018. Yeah. Was he having these red ratings. Other than that, there has never been this amount of poor ratings. Like, he has always had new roles, new positions, played on different teams, been on Optic in between of that, right? And then back to Liquid. It is green, green, green. Every now and again, obviously, when they might have had 1 or 2 bad events, it's in the red. Yeah. But he right now is 1, 2, 3, 4 events in the red, and Dallas only just out of it a 0.96 rating. It's rough, man. There's only so much you can hang on to that. There needs to be an improvement. There has to be a change now. There's no more JKS. There's no more role overlap. There's no more excuses. That's my take on it. But
All
I
right.
don't think they're going to do very well here. I think they are going to struggle.
I think they're gonna struggle. There's nothing really pointing to them like making playoff or anything.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think the one pro they have kind of for them is they're probably gonna be a little bit harder to read. They're gonna be harder to prep against because they're probably changing a lot of their playbook into Shui's more comfortable stuff.
Yep.
So I'd say in that sense, they can have a surprise factor into the best of ones, but I would be surprised if they get the best of 3.
Okay, let's look from Liquid into Aurora, our Turkish side over here. We touched on them a lot when it came to Astana. Third place there
Yep.
was very respectable. Um, they obviously even had a chance to make it to the grand finals over Astralis, 100%. Then in Dallas, they came over to Dallas jet lagged, bounced back, defeating NRG after losing to Heroic. Then they took down Liquid, and they took down Heroic in the revenge match. And then they lost on the 5th to 6th match. I think that's on stage, right? Against Mongols. Yeah, because the Mongols had a huge, they were the sudden fan
Yep.
favorites. There's some nerves on this team when they get to the stage. But I've spoken to Woxic earlier today in the lift, and he was like, we were in Serbia boot camping. We feel really good. He actually was full of life and energy, and this is a team that's pretty much at every single event. There's very good signs for me of looking at what this team can do. The only problem is, last time I heard from Maja, and I haven't spoken to him yet, he was like, yeah, we've reworked things in the playbook. When I looked at their game, it didn't look like they'd really reworked things. So if they can come with just a few change ups here, a little bit of the icing on top of the cake, so to speak, this is an exciting team with all the potential to keep living up to the expectations and the consistency they have this year.
Yeah. I wrote one thing
Mhm.
down, and if there's one thing that is eternal, it's that Aurora make playoffs.
Hey. And they've
I'm
got the
happy
fire
about
to
that
do it
one.
as well. That was good.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That was some wordplay coming out from my Swedish brother over here. My only negative on these guys right now, and I don't know how, like, this depends on which way you look at it, is even when they have Wakadia and Jota in the team, because of Majas, Antaras, and Woxic, they're quite an old team. Average age is 26.8. I know that's not old when you think how
That's
old
young.
we are, but I mean, it's one of these things where sometimes I see Zantaras go missing, yet he is an absolute beast, and I think he can do amazing. There's moments where I'm seeing stars need to step up, and they sometimes can't, and they sometimes fall short. That's a worry for me, and we've seen it multiple
Yeah.
times this year.
But if there's one thing that's really, really good and one thing that should keep you excited about Aurora is
Mhm.
Major, how he changes the playbook and for these big tournaments. I have
Okay,
no
so
doubt in
you're
my
believing in
mind.
that?
that they will do well.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna be one of those teams that's like they're popping off. They got some new stuff, and people are gonna be caught off. They're gonna control the game, play super well. But the worry becomes once they've played many maps and many reps,
Yep.
that's when they can become a little bit predictable. They're kind of using the same stuff. People get a
Yep.
read on them. They understand how to kind of counter them. So I think they're going to open up very, very hot. And I think they're going to open up hot enough to make it through. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, as always, they're going to struggle in the playoff if they get there.
Yeah. I want to go to like the team I'd say is on almost the exact same level as them from here. It's the Mongols, our favorite Asian team. Got a bit of personality now, got a hell of a lot of experience. Don't miss an event. They say yes to every single event. I always mention that. It's just these guys are grinding. I haven't seen these guys yet. I've not seen them arrive, but the Mongols are always ready to fight. The Mongols are sometimes looking like they rely so heavily on the individuals and they can be a bit predictable. But even if they are predictable and someone's set up for them, they'll shoot you in the face. And
Dude, they're so exciting to watch.
yeah, they make Counter-Strike fun. Sometimes they make me question what they're doing. I'll say that. It's still a bit off meta branded craziness at times.
Yeah.
But this is players that fully know how to play with each other. And I'm just hoping they've come into this with not just a boot camp, but also a bit of a refresh, because they went to Dallas. They've had some time being the fact they're in stage 3. So I would have liked to have seen them. If I hear this on the opening day, we had like a week break and then we went into hardcore practice mode and changed some things. I'm going to be full of confidence with them. But it is generally like their way of doing things is not the conventional way or like the way I would say is best, but it seems to work for them. And they're still a team that you expect to be making playoffs. It's just they can beat Aurora on playoffs, or Aurora can beat them on playoffs, depending on what it is, Astana or Dallas. And then when they play the big boys on stage, they get slapped. They don't win. They almost now the mouse score. I'm going to open this. I'm off memory. I've not opened it. It's 13-11, 13-11. Yeah. So they had chances and they had the crowd on their side, but the Mongols are still not able to take it over the line, and that's a worry for me.
But now we're going into
like
a Swiss
these guys,
stage.
right?
I love these guys. I absolutely love them. I think they have so many. Like I think every player they have these moments in games where it just looks ridiculous. I love watching Malzinho. I love watching like Sensu pop off sometimes. 9-10 with the AWP is amazing. And Blitz coming in with the smart plays is usually like more consistent, stable, can be aggressive as well. I think all of them are great, honestly. And they play a different brand of Counter Strike, and it's not dumb Counter Strike, but it's very like high pressure, very explosive. The one thing that I do have for them sometimes when they get a bad start, it seems like they have a hard time kind of adapting into how to grind around in, but very momentum based, fun to watch.
So the changing things up they're lacking, you're saying, right?
Yeah, but I think
Yeah,
once
when it
they
gets
hit
tough.
that run of momentum, just keep going. They're a hard team to stop once they get going, and I think that's for pretty much every team out there except probably Vitality, because they're just so good at kind of breaking and
Yeah.
cutting the oxygen from teams.
Can't fault them.
But I think, yeah, I'm just super excited to see what they're cooking up. The one thing I have for them, as you mentioned, is like how much stamina do they have left? They've been grinding so freaking much that it's just, is there
No
something that
breaks, no
will
time off.
make them better by grinding this much and they will just
Yep.
crash at the end of the event? Or do they have, uh, not enough stamina and they'll eventually crash? Imagine they're playing an
Stamina.
MIBR
Stamina.
versus
Stamina,
Falcons
my
game.
Swedish friend. I will educate you.
Yeah. Oh, it's not stamina. Okay.
No, it's not stamina. Stamina.
Okay,
A
stamina.
bit
But
of
I'll
stamina,
keep with
mate.
my stamina. If they have enough stamina here left in the tank.
Wait, stamina sounds like some drug you'll be taking. Yep. I got the
This is
stamina
probably
on
like
loose. I
from
can't
me
even say
playing
it.
like RPG games or something when I was a little kid, and I just like stamina.
I've got the stamina buff.
Okay, stamina. If they have enough stamina.
Yep.
Because if they play one of these like MIBR Falcons games, they're getting in long overtimes. No one knows what
They're
the
not
fuck
playing
is going
Falcons.
on. And
Bad
you know, how are they recuperating? Because we could see even in the MIBR game, like the MIBR guys were exhausted.
Yeah.
They looked a little bit deflated even in the game against FaZe. So it does affect you. It is a mental strain like nothing else. And this is, this is easy mode compared to CSGO, and it was like MR15. This is MR12, man.
Supposedly easy mode, yeah.
Yeah.
The game's just a bit more crazy.
No
more
longer
peaky.
5-hour best of threes.
No, thank God for that. Thank God for that. I'm going to open my curtains a bit more because the sun's going down.
Yep. But yeah, I think they are one of the teams to watch. I love them. Go Asia. Let's go.
Go Asia, go Mongols. Devilwalk is #1 fan. Next episode, he'll be with a Mongols jersey on the screen. All right,
Dude, I would
from
love a Mongols
Mongols,
jersey.
I'll speak to him for you. From Mongols, let's go to G2 because I don't know, man. I don't know what we say anymore about these guys because Hades is in, which changes everything. Yeah. They had a run of it at Dallas, and we know that although this might be a test for Hades, he now knows he's not staying in this team. So it's not even like he can be, oh yeah, this is an audition. I'm going to do my best and maybe I get to join G2. No, it's like, actually, we're going to replace you with some bias no matter what you do. And Taz also knows he's being replaced. And I heard that they didn't boot camp. It was online practice. It was online moments. But I heard there was no boot camp before because it is a dead team. I'll be very surprised if this team makes it to playoffs. And I just feel sorry for players like Mouz, Hunter, and Heavy God, for example. I don't even know what's going to happen with Snacks. Like, if Taz goes, does Snacks stay? Is that another one that's going to come and go out the way? There's so many questions to be answered here around this G2 lineup because I feel like without Taz there, they might also remove Snacks and put someone else in. Do you think Saw keeps him?
I honestly have no clue. I think that Saw would like to build his own team. He seems to be that guy. Kind of wants to do his own scouting and kind of fit the pieces. And that's probably why G2 should hire him, keep some of the pieces and build and change some of the stuff around it. But it's, I mean, I wrote down on the prep with G2 is like, where do you even put them in the conversation? Like, what am I supposed to say even? Like, they're playing with a stand-in. Everyone knows there's changes coming in. Coach isn't even there. Is gonna be there. Like, how much motivation do you have as a coach? Like, yeah, we're gonna fix everything.
No,
and then you just like getting boosted in a week.
It's my last paycheck, boys.
I think there are some pros. I think Malbs seem to be returning to form a little bit. I think Hunter stepped up massively from looking like a really almost NAF level player to getting back.
I wasn't
to
that down on Malbs.
Hunter,
really pushing
Hunter.
it. Oh, okay. Hunter.
Yeah. So Hunter was on NAF levels and stepped it up massively. There's still some stuff in that.
Comparing
all right.
NAF and Hunter, you're hurting me. We're not that bad yet, right? There's very different calibers here.
I'm just trying. Either way, Hunter has been amazing.
Now, you know, there's not even this story, by the way. You know, sometimes when we get a team like this, we say dead team walk in, they can do something crazy or magical. Because it's not even a full 5 and it is Hades standing in, I have zero belief that that's even going to happen.
There is none. There's no belief from me. I'm just giving you something. Maybe there's a G2 fanboy listening to this podcast and like, please make me believe.
Give me some hope. Yes. I need it in my life.
I'm just trying to give something, man. But yes, it's a dead team. It's a shut case. If they do, I think if they win a best of three, I'd be super surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know what the matchups are right now. They are out, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do that
For the
later.
opening
Don't jump
games.
into that now. Don't jump into that yet. We'll wait and do our predictions and pick'ems after.
Okay, I'll wait.
I've
But
not even
I'll
touched
be
on who they're
surprised
facing.
if they get more than best of one in this.
Yep, I think I'm on the same boat as you. So before we get to the big three that doesn't include Falcons, we're gonna have to jump into the fourth, which is Na'Vi. Now,
I was wondering where you put the big three.
Yeah, I would love to put the big three as Vitality, Na'Vi, Spirit, but I got to be realistic. I can't. I got to keep it real. Na'Vi are not in the big five right now, let alone the big three. And for me, take it this way: Astana was embarrassing. Astana should have never happened. You should have been in the final, and even if you lost to Spirit, like you should have been able to put up a more fight. I actually think if they got the best of five final against Spirit, the Spirit would have won even easier than what they won against Astralis. So Astralis actually did better than what Na'Vi could have done. And that pains me to say it. I will also say this. There was an interview not so long ago, or maybe a few months ago, where Blade said, like, if we make semis, like at this next major, which is the Austin major now, that'd be a good sign for us, blah, blah, blah. Right now, no matter, unless they win the major, this team is making changes. I guarantee it. I am 99.9% sure, unless they win the major, there is changes coming to this team because it has been not just down, it has been out. And I believe in the Blade system. I also believe in Lexi B. I think he's going to be safe in this whole moving thing. Bit was even horrendous in Astana, and that's normally a shining light for the team. I'll tell you this, after Astana, I went to Romania to do a visa, and me and my wife went for dinner with Imma. And obviously, he gave me some insight of like, they're going to go on boot camp. They have been on a boot camp. They nearly haven't played Counter-Strike as an official for a month. Now, for a lot of teams, you'd go, oh, maybe it's not so good or whatever. This is perfect for Blade, Alexi, and Na'Vi. They haven't had a boot camp since the start of the year. If this doesn't show at least playoff semis, it's an absolute failure once again. This team need to believe in each other, trust in each other, drop the fucking egos, because I believe there are egos, and play some goddamn Counter-Strike. Because it is right now a team that has hit the highest heights. 6 grand finals in a row, a major championship that no one ever expected. The first big win for most of these players. Yeah, other than Bit. And then it was an ultimate crash out from Singapore into Shanghai into all of this year. And that's not good enough for an organization like Na'Vi. And the fact that these players know we can do better, just get on the same page, guys. Believe in that, like, Blade system works when everyone's believing in it and all the pieces are moving the right way. When there's doubt, when there's not knowing what's going to happen, it all falls apart. And that's what's been happening.
Yeah, I mean, you described it, I think, best a couple of episodes ago. You know, it seems whenever we see them, like, they, you see a problem in an event, they fix it, but there's like one or two more problems arise that are just like as bad or worse.
You put your hole in the bucket, but the water comes out the other side, and you put the other hole, and then it's in your face, and
just
you
keep
just wrecked.
plugging stuff in.
Yep.
And I don't know, like, it seems to me it's not only like they're playing bad Counter Strike. The vibe check, terrible. It seems like they are, you know, arguing, struggling with each other, almost like they're
Yep.
sick of each other in some sense. Which, by the way, is not a unnormal thing to happen in CS teams.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that.
No, it's not uncommon.
I've been sick on
happens.
plenty of players in my career, and they've probably been sick of me too.
Yeah.
But it's the
I'll
way,
never
you
get sick
know,
of you.
you just you wait. We might be talking about Navi
Episode 100.
for
Fuck this
more
Devilwalk.
episodes. The Devilwalk's gone missing. No, but I think it's a weird one because they have everything. They have the structure. They have the players with X factor. In you know, JL, Bit, IM, Alexi B. You know, super seasoned in game leaders should be able to, you know, even if they're on the back foot, be able to find a call and call them out of it. I just feel like they kind of lost the joy in some sense. They probably
lost their
put
mojo.
their expectation. Yeah. But as you say, if there's anyone that can kind of get them out of a rut, make sure the structure is working again, it's Blade, right? It's his tactical brilliance. It's making sure that they're gonna be super, super, super ready for whatever is coming their way. But I'm still worried.
Yeah.
I'm extreme. I don't even know where I put them. They're probably, if I'm honest, they're probably just above G2 in my tier list, or above Liquid, somewhere along there. Devilwalk is dead.
Change your opinion. Change your opinion now.
Next episode on All About Counter-Strike with host Banks.
I'm getting a new host. Would anyone need it? Dude, you can't put them that far
There's
down.
a job opening.
Yeah, advertise your own job at this point. Jesus. No, you're not far away from the truth, if I'm being honest, but I'm not kicking them that far down the curb. You put us at the bottom of the barrel.
But okay. But am
G2
I really
with a standing in a team that's completely folding?
Yeah, but I'm putting them above them.
Yeah, but only just.
Yeah, but who would you put below? Okay, are you putting Mongols below?
Yes.
Below Navi?
Yeah, and Aurora.
What?
What do you mean? Of course, because they don't choke on a stage.
Yeah, but this is not the stage.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, they can lose to these two teams in a group stage. You are correct. But they probably won't have to face these teams. They'll face these other lower down teams and they'll work their way through. They're going to go through 3-1 or some magic. Come on, man. I'm in my fantasy world.
What is this copium?
Full cope. Full cope.
Well, I know you're a big fan, but there's more things than just tactical things that needs to be fixed for them. The vibe check, everything, they need to start working.
But that's up to their performance manager. Have you seen their new blog? They did a new blog. By the way, Navi, I love the quality of the new blog and the new way of doing things, but it was very short for a team that's been a boot camp for a week. Like 15 minutes was not enough to give me enough information of what's going on. The other thing is that, like, if they can't get the mental fix this event, then obviously they're definitely mega screwed. That has to be. So yeah, the mentality, we'll see. Once they take their first loss, if they take a loss, that'll tell us a big thing.
It's not like, okay, I will rephrase some things. I don't think they're gonna just shit the bed and go 0-3. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, thank God.
But I'm saying they will be in that struggling phase of,
will they make playoffs in your opinion?
Maybe 2-2. I think they will barely.
That's fine. That's
all I need. With the right copium, barely.
With the right copium, barely. All right. So let's get on to our big three. And I'm going to do the big three in my personal order. You can correct me if I'm wrong. In third place for the big three is Spirit.
Yeah.
Good. Because, yes, they lose to Vitality, but there was a world in Astana where they could have maybe dropped another map to Astralis. And I still think this team is not falling apart in some ways, but is disconnected in some ways. In sense that
Donk wants to play cracks.
Yeah, because Donk wants to play every single event. Yeah, he wants to grind like crazy. The other players or the org, whoever's deciding, wants to skip events. Like, they're doing this. And obviously, Donk's frustration has come out in interviews, in moments where he's communicating of like, guys, we got to start winning. And when you've got someone who was the best player in the world and was an unstoppable force, who's now not able to show his stuff like that, obviously, he's going to be a bit tilted. There's nothing I can fault them on other than the mentality can sometimes go. I think Hallie is the one leading in a similar way to a Blade, but with like less room for, like, I think Alexi has more room to make decisions compared to Chopper, but that's like just from what I'm viewing. It's not so much what I can say, yeah, I'm talking facts right now. It's just the style. And when you see these behind the scene videos of like ESL released it, right? Field of View, where it shows you the whole grand final they played against Vitality in Katowice. You hear like the things that Hallie's saying and what he's going through sometimes. It's a frustrating time for Spirit. You're the previous major champions, but I don't think we're even going to see him in the grand final because Mouz have been kryptonite to them, and Vitality definitely are.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I think the one thing, they have going for them is Donk. I think you need Magics, you need Sontics. I think Shiro's been consistent enough to
Yeah.
to make sense. I don't think he needs to like up his performance or anything. I think he plays that kind of passive opera role really, really well. I think
And
he's
he
moving a lot
started to
more
show a bit more
lately.
aggression, just a
Yeah,
little bit more.
he's
He's not
moving around a
completely in the
little bit
back.
more.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is in just Chopper is like weirdly he always has impact in
Yeah.
some way. Like
He's got
I don't
some
know.
reads, man. He's got some
Yeah.
reads and some timing moments where you go, that's a chopper round. That's actually a
Yeah,
chopper
like
round.
he has clutches in him. He has clutch ability. Like it doesn't always look the prettiest, but he gets the job done.
I need the nose strip
And
to come back this major. Nose strip chopper was the buffed up one.
yes, yes, yes. I actually bought some nose strips for
Oh,
myself. I think it's
we're gonna be
I think
cooking
it's
on Face It when you get back. Then
amazing to play
you're
with.
gonna be okay. That's mate. Carry me. Let's go.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think everything pretty much. Obviously, it lands on Donk, but Donk is going to deliver. And so it's
Yeah.
Sontic and Magix. They need to step up. We need to see this like individual brilliance of them, and it needs to be consistent. It can't just be one map, two maps, and then all of a sudden someone takes over. Both of them needs to be on top level at the
Mm-hmm.
same time as Donk with Shiro and Chopper to make this even remotely competitive. They're gonna
I'll
make
give
playoff.
you. Oh, you're
I'm
definitely making
hundred
playoffs.
percent sure they're gonna make playoff. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking like someone needs to fucking take the crown of Apex and slam it into the ground of some sorts.
Yep.
It
I'll give you this, right? I'll give you two
yeah.
things I learned. So when we were in Astana, I was doing these 1v1s. Donk played this amazing 1v1 against Antares for content piece. And Donk told me Magix would actually be better to do this 1v1 because he thinks that Magix has amazing aim, better than like what we actually currently think. So whenever I get to do a 1v1 piece of content again, I'm going to put Magix to the test because he may be a troll, but like Donk is a big believer and pusher of him. Like saying that Magix is going to be good. And then Donk has been reading the Kobe Bryant book, Mamba Mentality. It was in his backpack. He showed me it and he said he's going to start. He hasn't read it yet, but he was starting to go through it. If he's read that before the major, I'm expecting God mode Donk to be back in full force. If he can have a slight improvement in psychology aspect, that's going to be a win for the whole team. That's going to be a win for everyone. That's
But I think
glorious, right?
when you look at this like spirit conversation, it's so weird. Now we'll get a highlight of your favorite team here. The last loss they had against anyone outside of the top four is
Mm-hmm.
February 3rd. IEM Katowice versus
Navi.
Navi.
The group stage warrior game.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So they're only losing games against Vitality, Mouz, and
Yep.
Falcons.
Which is all respectable, and Falcons aren't here. So, you know what, by the way, when Falcons got eliminated, Vitality, Mouz, and Spirit all went, money can't buy you happiness. You know, like they were just sat there laughing. They thought,
yeah,
that's
because
just given us one easier spot.
The weird thing is the same thing. Mouz, I don't think they haven't lost to Spirit.
No, I don't think so.
I think Mouz has only lost to Falcons and Vitality.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of these weird things where like Vitality they're not losing against anyone. They have Falcons, they're losing against well now everyone, but before they didn't.
Yeah.
So kind of like
Big
just
change
in
up.
a ladder step for these top 4 teams, which is kind of incredible that they are that consistent. These top teams, it's just small things.
Very small. All right. So
But
from
yeah,
Spirit, we go to Mouz, number 2. We can all
yeah,
agree with that. Mouz have been
yeah,
really solid. Mouz, okay, they can lose to a Falcons. They can lose to a Vitality. Falcons are no longer here. That de facto puts them in a fantastic position. Mouz, since having Spinks, have leveled up. Torzi is the star of this team. Xerxon sometimes can be a bit hit and miss for my liking. Yimfat, he may be gooning all the time, but he can be solid. I got to just look through Yimfat's stats a bit here because I feel like we're starting to see a better Yimmy again. Because there was a moment where he didn't look as sharp as he was, and it was only a little bit in the middle of this, or the start of this year, sorry. And now he's kind of found his footing again. He's back to it. He's back in a nice spot rating wise. Spinks, I feel like, was the perfect player for this team. And
yep,
a lot of things are connecting. This was the right move in so many ways. And they've been in Germany, the Mouse facility, on the boot camp. I saw they got some little buffed up laptops from one of their sponsors, Lucky Guys. They're fully ready. They're flying business right now. They're coming in cool. They're being looked after. Like mentally, this is going to be a strong team. And your Swedish boy Brolan has proven me wrong by being a more than capable in-game leader. But I want to understand this, and it'll take some time for us to really figure it out. Is the fact that Cyclone has leveled up 2 very young in-game leaders. Shuhei first, and now Brolan. Brolan
right.
just taking over. Cyclone definitely's got to be eating up a lot of credit in here.
No, I 100% agree. I mean,
I'm
they
trying to
are
make more
probably
light, and I'm just
playing a
making myself
lot
more yellow.
within. Yes, yes, you are. I was about to mention it, but I didn't want to disrupt you. But they look super solid. I think the
Yep.
one thing that I could put on like kind of con list for them was
Mm-hmm.
it's this is from where I've watched them play like Falcons. When Falcons have kind of slowed the game down, Mouse doesn't really get this rhythm of moving pieces very fast to kind of secure areas. And they're kind of just biding their time until Mouse does eventually make a mistake. Because
Yep.
Mouse, they are very fast moving. They like to take space. They like to be aggressive, take duels and overflow areas. Kind of a little bit heroic esque style of the old, but not to that extreme.
Danish road, right?
Uh, yeah, exactly. With Katie and Staven and those
Yep.
guys, like very good at helping each other and very fast to rotate to help each other, and that does give moments where they make these wrong rotations and over
Mm-hmm.
rotations, leave space, and a slow team that can kind of find the holes and use the information that Mouse kind of give them. That's I think when they struggle the most. Otherwise, I think they're incredibly well rounded. You say Torshi is their like star player. I don't actually think they have that a star player per se. I
Yeah, I'd
think they're
agree with
just
that.
very well rounded. I think they have a good balance of aggressive players and people who can take that more passive role in like Spinks and Yimpat who can kind of they can both be explosive, get a lot of multi kills, hold the sites very well, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of keep that cool map control type with Search and Brollan kind of leading the charge and trying to get aggressive plays and early spacing. Um, so I just think they're a very, very well rounded team.
Yeah.
Uh, and they have good team play, and I think they're gonna be, you know, obviously one of the better teams. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make
Yep.
it tough for anyone they're playing against. I think they're even gonna make it tough for a Vitality to some degree. Even though I hold Vitality very highly, I still think Mouse have improved in the way they have approached Vitality. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's like record stuff, but I think that in the best case scenario where they win kind of double pistol, they have a chance to break them. That you know, I think that
Potentially.
that's where they're at.
Yeah. I think that's a good summary of Mouz. And then that leaves us for the obvious potential major winners of the Blast TV Austin major, 2 Blast majors for Vitality if everything works out. But you know what? With this major, nothing's guaranteed. So don't even expect Vitality to go 3-0. No, you should expect Vitality to go 3-0.
Lin
But
Vision, Vitality breaks them.
yeah, there we go. Vitality are on 100% win rate in the last 3 months. They're on a 30 match win streak right now. They are dominating. They have won Dallas, Blast Rivals, Melbourne, Open Lisbon, Katowice. Like, this team is unstoppable right now. And someone sent me a link just the other day. The Zyru has released his own mouse now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zyru is the only player I will say could change his mouse one day before the tournament and it won't matter. I've watched this guy sit down, not use a config, plug in, use any equipment, change mouse of his, like, he's not affected. This is robotic Zyru. This is Zyru in his element. And he's got Rops to back him up now. So even if he's using this new mouse or not, or whatever it is, yeah, I have zero worries about this team. Apex Cooling is on fire. Rops has elevated, as we keep saying, players around him. He's made Mezzi an even better player. Everyone has a good mood. Everyone's working so hard. Yes, there's going to be probably more pressure than even on the Grand Slam for these guys. For Mezzi and Flames, right, it would be the first major they could win and have a chance of. But the rest of the players around them know exactly how to get it done. They've got a huge amount of good, capable support staff around them. I like their performance manager is a beast, by the way. He's not just ace as a performance manager in terms of the physical aspect, by the way. He's also in the gym with like Apex and Flames a lot, but he's also a great friend, I feel, and a mental person around them at the same time. And I don't even know if he does any of the mental aspects for these guys, but this at the moment they've cracked the code for things, and they know when to do it all. It's just anything can happen with a major. It can get a bit crazy. It is some best of ones in there, but like, where did you even find a negative? Did you even find a con? What, they won too much?
Well, it's partly.
Okay. Okay.
No, but I'll say this: like, they are so incredibly disciplined and good at what they do, but they do show occasional weakness in rounds. I'll just take that Gympath 1v5 as an example, right? They're super disciplined. They're winning the round because they're disciplined. They're showing some individual skill. Now it's all of a sudden they're overwhelmingly, in favor of winning the round. These are the moments where they kind of relax sometimes as individual players, not as a team, but they make decisions to take duels just to end it. And that's essentially their weakness, is they can be a bit sloppy with that discipline all the way through in the round, which is extremely hard to be disciplined in that sense. But then they have the incredible leadership from Apex, who kind of shuts that down instantly. They have an insane map pool. To a degree, I think if I put like Saivu, Rops, Flames, Messi, and even Apex to some degree in any other team in the world, they would be the fucking star player.
Yeah.
In any team in the world. It's unbelievable. They could be in 1v5 situations. I wouldn't, say it's over. Their adaptability, the way they approach rounds to counter individual players, the way they shift up their patterns in rounds, they're hard to prep against because of that. Like, they have everything, and they are a level above on pretty much everything. Like, the guys that are next best to them, they're still, that this is their speciality, they're still better than them at it.
Yeah.
It feels like they have everything. They have good calls, they have gimmick calls when they need it, they have,
insane reads.
I don't know, like insane reads. They trick the opponent. They consistently find entries. I don't know. There's so much to talk about Vitality that's good, and it's honestly really hard to find the cons. And the cons that is not really a con. This is like human behavior to some extent. It's not even, you know,
well, everyone does what they're doing.
Everyone's gonna
they
be
just
doing
lose
that.
series from it,
And
and
Vitality probably
doesn't.
do it less to some sense. So it was tough. To even think about a con because they've been so good, and the only example that really came out was that they sometimes they start the game, it goes so easy for them that they just hit a snooze button in their discipline, and the other team starts coming back.
Yep. But
It's
still
a
don't win the
stretch.
series.
Yes.
Well, you know what? We don't need to touch on Vitality anymore. They are expected to win this major. So we can take it from here, mate, to first of all, our predictions before ruining your pick'ems further. Down for that?
Yep. For the first part, at least.
Predictions. It's best of ones. We've got our opening games here. Vitality take on the 3-0 team Legacy.
Yeah.
This is where we said this last time, I don't like this VRS seeding. It should be first against 16th, not first against 9th, but
that's
just the way they do it.
It's stupid of Vitality to get a 3-0 team.
Yeah. But could Legacy win a game here?
No.
It's true. It should be Vitality. There's nothing that indicates that Legacy could do this other than the fact they went 3-0 and proved us wrong last time. But this is a whole different level of opposition that they've never faced before. Beating FaZe is one thing. This is like taking on the Titans.
But it's like also what map is Legacy gonna go for? They're not gonna get their best map. Are they gonna go into like a good map for both? Inferno. You wanna go against Vitality on Inferno? Be my guest.
Yeah, you got to take a shot at the king every now and again, see what happens. All right, that one's nice and easy. So Vitality are going to win against Legacy in our predictions. Mouz taking on VP. I'm just going to say, best of one, Mouz coming in. I've got a hunch. It's my feeling again. I'm maybe being stupid here. The favorites are Mouz, but I'm predicting VP.
Okay, I'll take Mouz, but I see where you're going. But I'm trying my new logic of last stage was good for VP, so this new tournament is bad.
Okay. So you're doing Mouz.
I think there's definitely a chance for VP if they play the way they've done and keep that consistency. I think they definitely can go into a Mouse sports that's probably a little bit over eager or over confident to some extent going into the matchup. With VP, it's not like they showed like they are that much of an improved team considering the opponents they played against, but they could be a lot better than you expect.
Okay, so who are you picking?
I'm picking Mouse.
Okay, so you're still picking Mouse. I thought you were going to go on a ramble and give me you're joining me on VP, but I get you. You. All right, Spirit versus Pain.
I'm going Spirit.
Yep, I'll do Spirit as well. It's Pain has looked a lot better, but it's just that Pain don't have enough in it to stop someone like Donk if he gets on a tear, and he's going to be so hungry to play again. G2 versus 3D Max here.
Okay. I'm picking
I'm
3D
going 3D
Max.
Max. Oh, okay. We're really down and out on G2 here. Jesus. Mongols Furia. I'm going Mongols because there is so much history between these guys, and Furia never wins. I need to actually look at the matchup head to head, but I'm just the feeling I have is Furia never wins.
I think this is a close game, but I'll pick Mongols. But I think Furia, they could actually snatch this one.
Okay, so you're going Mongols with me. Aurora FaZe. I'm taking Aurora because I'm believing in the boot camp, and we've obviously seen FaZe. But FaZe in a best of one is making me think that FaZe could 2-0 to start off with. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Have a feeling that FaZe might 2-0 again in the best of ones and come with that energy. And I don't know a single player other than Maja that would get on the wee craziness, Like it might start to affect some of the Aurora players. But I do you're taking Aurora, I'll take FaZe. Sod it.
All right.
Na'Vi, Nemiga. Obviously, I'm going for Na'Vi.
Ooh, should I?
You can do what you want. Tell you need. I need your honest prediction. I don't need you just to troll me. I need your honest prediction.
Well, maybe my trolling is my honesty.
Go on then.
I'll pick Navi.
Okay, smart man. You still like your job. This is a good thing. Clearly, I'm the one with the
have a
power
job.
in this podcast. No, everything's 50-50. There's none of this. There's none of my ultimate power in this. All right, Liquid Lin Vision. Unless NAF pops off, Lin Vision is taking this. I'm all in with Lin Vision having a best of one win here. I also want to
pick Lin Vision.
Is it? Well, we're really aligned on this today. This is unexpected, mate.
Well, last time when we were disagreeing, our pick'ems went to shit.
If it gets any darker in our room, but in my room, by the way, I'm screwed. We're just gonna have a pitch black thing. So you going Lin Vision?
Yeah. And you're looking like you're like in a campfire, like in a tent with a
little light flashes up every now and
scary
again.
Stories about Navi.
I don't know if this light helps at all. It just makes everything really orange.
That's terrible.
Bro, there's got to be a way to do this. There has to be a way to fix this. Our editor's going to hate me. He's just going to be like, why do they keep changing everything? Like, why is he messing with this? Did it get better?
You see that it's getting brighter at my place.
Yours is getting brighter. I'm getting darker and darker. Oh, I'm balancing it. I'm using a bit of... Hey, I actually cooked. Okay. Let's get ourselves closer towards the end of all this. So there are our predictions, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you've also enjoyed the breakdown of the teams. Both me and Devilwalk, it's impossible for us to get Diamond Coin right now. So Devil, open it up. Go through the madness with us. Share your screen and give me your pick'ems. Let's go on to stage 3 then. Okay, 3-0. Vitality. There's no way they're not getting 3-0.
All right.
Second 3-0. Oh, this is so hard. It's like a Mouz or Spirit potential.
I mean, okay, let's go to our 0-3. You want to give it to Spirit? I can give it to Spirit.
Okay.
0-3s. Like, honestly, Liquid is on my list.
Okay.
But this one is tough, man.
Lin Vision can win over Liquid. You see?
This is, But if we're predicting Lin Vision should win against Liquid, we can't put we have to put Liquid here then.
Okay. So then do you put Legacy in 0-3, which has failed us multiple times now across multiple stages?
We're just picking the same. Well,
hey, they got to go 0-3 at one point. No, they don't actually.
No, but who do you think here is most likely to go 0-3? It's not Mouz, it's not Mongols, it's not Navi, it's not Aurora. Could be G2.
G2 Liquid in 0-3. People, we got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty BM.
Let's be crazy.
G2 Liquid, but let's just go wild with it. All right, so making it through. Navi,
I say barely.
Good. Oh, wow, screw you. Yeah.
I'll put Mouz like this. I think Aurora.
Yep.
So here, 2 spots left. You want VP?
Yeah. Do I believe in some FaZe magic?
FaZe or Furia, I think is the...
FaZe or Furia, not a 3D Max. You don't believe in 3D Max?
I think you can make it, but...
It's your choice. Maybe. I'm personally probably going to put FaZe in.
Okay, I'll put FaZe in.
Easy. We got nothing to lose. Hopefully we can get gold coin at least. And there's still a whole nother playoff spot of doing this as well. I'm not, you know, our 0-3s I'm the least confident with. One of these twos will upset us. I've done no simulator even. Shall I simulate? Shall I simulate based on our predictions?
Okay, simulate based on our predictions.
Yeah. HLTV's got our simulator in here. Okay, so we said Vitality will win. We said Mouz will win. We said Spirit will win. We said 3D Max will beat G2, right?
Yeah.
Yep. We said Mongols will win over Furia. We said Aurora over FaZe. We said Na'Vi over Nemiga. We both said Lin Vision over Liquid, didn't we?
Yeah. That's why I put Liquid there.
1-0 will be Vitality Lin Vision, so Vitality. Mouz 3D Max, Mouz. Spirit Na'Vi in a best of one. Group stage, not on stage. Spirit still probably, right?
Who are you talking about? What was the game?
Spirit versus Na'Vi.
Spirit, I think.
Best of one. Spirit.
Yeah.
Mongols versus Aurora. Best of one.
Mongols.
G2 versus Nemiga.
Ooh. Well, I have to say Nemiga.
Okay. Liquid versus FaZe.
A FaZe.
Legacy versus Furia.
Furia, I think.
VP versus Pain. Oh, they already played each other, so VP again. Then the 2-0 matchups. Mouz Spirit. Mongols Vitality. So Vitality win over Mongols. Spirit. So Mouz could go 3-0 over Spirit here.
Yeah. Should we put them in 3-0?
Yeah, go for that. Go for that. Go for that. And on your 0-3s, Liquid Legacy.
I think Liquid lose, man.
Okay. And then Pain G2.
Yeah, I believe in our 0-3 picks.
You might actually be cooking. Okay, so put the 3-0 Mouz Vitality. This simulator's nuts.
Yeah.
And then, okay, Aurora Nemiga. Best
Aurora
of one.
Nemiga. Aurora.
Na'Vi FaZe, best of one.
Ooh.
Na'Vi.
So 50-50.
Na'Vi. What do you mean 50-50? Okay, you...
Okay, we
don't
can
let
go
my
Na'Vi.
bias influence you. Okay. VP Lin Vision. VP. 3D Max Furia.
Ooh.
Furia?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Then we're getting Mongols.
Very insecure about that one.
Yeah, that was that was like Furia. Then we're getting Mongols Na'Vi qualification. So
Mongols Na'Vi.
Probably Mongols. Spirit Furia.
Spirit.
VP Aurora.
VP Oof. Aurora.
Oh.
Aurora.
Hard, you know? Aurora. Legacy Nemiga.
Legacy.
3D Max FaZe. FaZe already lost the 3D Max FaZe. Okay. Lin Vision Pain. Then you've got Virtus Pro FaZe.
Virtus Pro FaZe?
Yep.
In 2-2 game?
Yep.
Oh. Which one? You picked this one.
Logic would say VP, but I'm going to be with my heart. FaZe Magic, baby.
Okay. So we remove VP.
Yeah, Na'Vi Legacy. Na'Vi.
Furia
Pain.
Furia.
Pain won it last time.
I believe in Professor. You want Pain?
Okay. No, it's your pick'ems, man. It's your pick'ems.
Yeah,
so, 3-0 Mouz Vitality. 3-1 Mongol Spirit Aurora. FaZe, Na'Vi, Furia. And then 0-3 Liquid and G2. Boom. We are done. Oh my God.
I'm satisfied.
We're probably cooked. Satisfied? I don't know how satisfied we should be.
I think my 0-3 pick'ems are the greatest.
Yeah. I might just take them myself, man. I might have to. All right, let's quickly do Q&A because the time is running on and I am hungry. Even my wife has messaged me. She said sent us food to order.
I am sleepy.
Yeah, you must be sleepy. It's 3:38 in the morning for you. Okay, yes. Skorga, long-time viewer. always sending in questions. Why do the Falcons, a team renowned for mechanical skill, frequently choose to play Nuke, considering it's one of the most tactical maps? Wouldn't it be advantageous for them to avoid it, especially in a best of one against teams that are theoretically less mechanically skilled? That's a question for you, Devilwalk.
Yeah, but okay. Just because a map is tactical doesn't mean that it negates mechanical skill. I think there are some maps, for example, if you look at Anubis, I could take as a good example where it's like very, very tactical, but I actually think that it's very chaotic and it's hard to kind of get the mechanical skill. You're gonna a lot of nades in your face, a lot of Molotov smokes. It's a lot about like snappy decision making when you're in CT. Yep. I mean, you can imagine playing like A site, being super mechanically skilled, and there's flying 8 flashes through the window that you are blind of. The T's running towards you. It doesn't really matter how mechanically skilled you are to a certain extent because you don't have the time to execute that mechanical skill in those scenarios. Where Nuke, I think, it's more about positioning tactically rather than everything just being tactical. It's a very slow-paced tactical map where mechanical skill is shining a lot more than these very fast pops. Where like on Anubis, right, you're popping B main, popping through con. It's very fast paced, chaotic. Then I think mechanical skill actually shines a little bit less, and it's a little bit more about small timings and getting the most out of a very small window of opportunity. Where Nuke is more slowly creeping forward. Doesn't mean that there isn't pops and these things happen, but I think it's more, you want to get someone into lower, he's holding, you're taking warehouse control, garage, you're moving people around the map, and it's not as intense and close combat as you'd think. So I'd say it doesn't negate mechanical skill to play a map like Nuke, while I understand why your thinking goes that way. They're not opposites. They are, you can have a very open and open map like Dust 2 that isn't like super tactical, or at least very thought out tactically. There's not much of new stuff coming into it. It's very standard. Like the movements of the map are essentially the same as they were 20 years ago, where you can have a lot more gambly, fast-paced skill shine through there, even though it's not a very tactical map. But on the opposite, you have it on Nuke as well, where the mechanical skill will shine through. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Oh, I think it did. Definitely gave a lot on that.
And I also think why people play it is if you're the better team, you're always going to be better on Nuke than teams that are worse than you. If you have that mechanical skill with the tactical prowess of a map like Nuke, it's a great home map to have against lesser teams.
I agree. One other question for today. It says Leonida from YouTube. He says most tactical. Oh, we took one from YouTube. Actually, we broke the thing. We shouldn't take his question. Actually, no, Leonida, I'll be nice to you, but just next time, you need to join the Discord. This is the last one we'll take from YouTube. It says, most tactical shooters have an unranked mode that mirrors competitive experience, allowing new players to learn maps and mechanics before jumping into ranked play. Why doesn't Counter-Strike have a similar 5v5 unranked queue? Casual mode is often a chaotic 10v10, which doesn't effectively prepare players for the more strategic premier and competitive modes. Wouldn't a dedicated unranked queue help with onboarding new players and provide a better warm-up environment? He's actually making a good point because he mentions competitive, but obviously that still has like ranked, right? Gold, silver, LE, global elite, whatever.
Per map, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's per map. But like, I just take comp as things you fuck around in. Like, I just go in there and just even use it as a warm-up or just have some fun with friends. So I kind of take that as the unranked queue. But it would be cool to have a premier mode, without it being premier, just do like unranked prem, where you can just go through the exact same simulation, learn how you're doing all the veto stuff, And so it's for the people who are a bit more casual. I actually agree with him. It would be cool. This is actually be a good idea for getting players into it. Because some players just literally play casual, like random deathmatch maps and fun stuff with their friends. Others jump into comp. But like there is a big skill gap between comp and prem when you go through it all, and then from prem to face it as well.
No, I
Good
agree.
point.
I think it's like a kind of a skewed system. It would probably like in this weird sense in Counter-Strike where we're in between several systems incorporated into each other with prem and comp, because comp was like prem before, and then they introduced prem, and I think back then you had casual 5v5 queues, but it was
You could
different
queue.
rules. I think it was this like you always
Yeah.
had armor, but
I
you could
never
still
did
play
it.
5v5. I'm not really sure, but
You
it's
spawned with armor, didn't you? Yeah.
yeah, you spawned with armor. So yeah, really weird. Anyways, I think it makes sense to have that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I think it's
very good
weird
idea.
we don't have it.
I'll try and mention it to Valve here at the major. They'll come here for playoffs. Let me see if I remember that. I've got a list of things. I've got a list of
It's
things for
also
Valve to go through.
this thing. Sometimes you can't even play with like friends who are not the same level or same ranking as you if you're playing the premier or competitive modes. So it does make a lot of sense to have it. I don't know why that isn't the case.
It's a good idea, Leonardo.
A
Very
good
good
idea,
idea.
yeah.
Well, there we are, Devilwalk. It's late for you. We're at the very end of it all. Episode 16 is done and dusted of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. We'll be back between Stage 3 ending and playoffs if there's some more madness, if there's some more absolute craziness going on. Good luck with your pick'ems. If anyone still has a chance of getting Diamond Coin done, tweet it at us, send it to us, let us know. I need to see physical proof
Don't
of this. I don't want to
expose
see some
yourself.
edited
You will be
video.
sent straight to the mental hospital.
You will need help in the crazy lab. But hopefully you've enjoyed the breakdown. Hopefully you've learned something from this. Hopefully it's given you some different perspectives. You've enjoyed our opinions. Another Devil walkthrough that I know everyone enjoys as well. As always, thank you very much for watching. Big love to you all. Make sure you like, subscribe, review us on the audio platforms. It helps everything with where we're growing and going from here. And stay safe. Look after yourself. Enjoy the major. Thank you.
Bye-bye.